Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Wow, this is
Sorry if it's not morning.
I was like, wow, I put on my just chatting instead of my Elizabeth, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Where's Elizabeth? And I was like, oh, it's just me. No, come back. Hello, everyone.
Gang's all here.
Elizabeth's here. I can leave. Elizabeth, I feel like you could just do the stream without me, right? You could just.
Oh, God.
It'd be fine.
I don't know, because me and Chris were talking about this yesterday, where if it's just me in front of a camera, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I feel like completely out of my depth. When I have you to talk to, it makes it so much easier, because it's like I'm talking to a person.
Yeah. Thanks a little bit. It's interesting because I'll be doing my YouTube video, new one out just now about the Japanese Bahrain Grand Prix, by the way. And I'll talk to the camera, and I've gotten better at it, but I'm definitely not as good as reiterating my points as like I'm talking to you. It's something about like having a conversation where it's like someone's just like acknowledging or like adding on and being like, oh, do you think about it this way? I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Now that you said that, this makes more like blah 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 blah. Yeah. It's just like a much nicer back and forth.
It's a good flow.
It's a good flow. Yeah. It's a good way of describing it. Hello, everybody. We have Fastlane Rachel for the 9 freaking months. Oh my God, Rachel, we have a Twitch baby together. That is so nice. Congratulations.
What are you going to name it, Steve?
9 months of amazing content. Hope all is well. Rachel, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Secret Ingredient gave out 5 gifted subs. That's also very generous. Yeah, babe. You feeling good today? Silver, Max, Make It, Wayne, Harmington, Blue. Welcome to Vandal Industries. Make sure you thank Secret Ingredient for your sub. Hello, everybody. Who was first? The Hype Train, Choo-choo, has blocked who said first. Okay, Big Ben said second. Parrot said third. I love that we started counting. Elizabeth, you said fifth. That doesn't count because you were already here.
I just showed up to the chat fifth. That's all that happened.
Just showed up to the chat. When does Twitch Child Protective Services come for the baby? Oh, no.
Oh, it's Chap who said first.
Oh, it was Chris? That's so funny. Okay, first of all, rigged. Producer / Chap / Chris. I feel like I need to put that on your name. By the way, I changed Chap / Chris's name to Sleeping Beauty because Chap says that, Chap, was it 8 hours or less? You're just a crankopotamus? Like, it needs to be 8 hours minimum plus, which I found really fun. But yeah, I feel like the producer or something. Well, we'll give you a good cool title.
The
like,
Deuce.
El Duce. Just the Enzo Ferrari nickname. Just everyone watch out. 8 hours of sleep, less than that is a nap. That is so funny.
Yeah, we've got the poll of who's better, Kyle Larson or Max Verstappen, and that's because Chap woke up this morning and chose violence.
Yeah, we're going to be honest with all of you. All of us, myself, Elizabeth Champ, we're all a little bit sassy today. Or I was telling Elizabeth before, and I was like, wait, this would be a good rant, actually, for stream. Let me hold on to that for a moment. Whether you're watching on the Twitch or on the YouTubes, we greatly appreciate it. We're not going to be sassy towards you unless you make me sassy. I was telling Elizabeth, and I think I told Chat this as well in the Discord. I was like, I am done being nice. Like, or just like on Twitter and on Instagram. I think I'm ready to be canceled phase. Not that I'm ever popular enough to actually be canceled, but I'm ready for people to be like, oh God, what's wrong with Ask Vandally? She's off her rocker. I'm of my like Britney Spears shaving her head off era right now. As in, people are just, I wrote something on Threads. I was like, oh, so proud of Oscar Piastri. And I accidentally wrote, instead of team orders, I wrote papaya rules, which means like let them race. But like I inverted the meaning, and someone was like corrected me, and I was like, oh, my bad, like I just got too excited, blah blah blah. Someone didn't read that and wrote, oh, why is it only Oscar who can be first? What's your problem? You don't like Lando Norris? And I wrote, I was over it. Like as soon as I got that, and one more other thing, I was like, not everyone wants to fucking fight on the internet. If you can't read and realize I made a mistake, that's on you. Suddenly the comments deleted. No, if you want to fight and I call you out, let's fucking go. I am so done, Elizabeth. I am so done. Like, there was
someone who responded to one of my my Substack last week about how men don't understand why young women like Formula One, and I can't remember what the fuck he implied, but I was like, are you trying to tell me that women don't watch Formula One? That we can't like Formula? Is that what you are literally in my mentions telling me right now? Come on.
As you were a journalist.
Yeah. No, I definitely don't know anything about anything.
There's a Twitch streamer who streamed herself doing a lot of illegal things while driving, like running red lights and saying they're not for her and they take too long. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about it in a second. But I essentially commented on that. And my whole thing is, when do we talk about as a society about that our driver's tests are not rigorous enough because of, and like I didn't emphasize this, but I followed up with some people saying like, and this is American drive. So I wrote American driver's test because they vary state to state. For me, I drove, and we talked about this in the Discord a little bit. I drove in the city of Queens for my driver's test. I had to parallel park. I didn't have to do any crazy K-turns. They try to do a gotcha moment where they're like, oh, make a U-turn. But then I saw a sign that says no U-turns. So I was like, I can't. And they're like, good job. And that was it. And then I called it a day. But I know a lot of people from Florida who did it theirs in parking lots with traffic cones. And they didn't have to parallel park. They just had to maneuver.
I had to parallel park, but I failed the parallel park. Like, I didn't fail. I just did it really badly. And they were like, if you do anything else wrong, we're going to fail you. But I did everything else right. So I got my license. And in blaming that on the fact that the car I was driving was my dad's 1990 something Grand Prix Turbo with no power steering. So I was like cranking this wheel trying to make it like using all my strength, and I fucking missed. And they were like, well, I don't know. I was like, just cut me some fucking slack. Come on.
I also think
I'm just a little guy.
We should be retested. And that's a big thing. They won't do that because older people vote. So if you pass that, they won't vote for you or advocated for it. And I get it. I understand this conversation is also not in a vacuum because we have to talk then if we're taking away people's driver's licenses for being shitty at their tests or like withholding it from them, we then also have to talk about public transportation. We talk about walkability. Like this is not a conversation in just the driver's test. Like I understand this is a whole nuanced, very larger conversation, but I generally wrote, when do we have this conversation about American driving tests and like all this other stuff? One, someone wrote, oh, you think like cry about your city, Atlanta's top 5. I was done. I was like, this is when I was my done phase, which I'm still currently in. I wrote, did I say anything about fucking cities? I said America. And he's like, oh, I'm just saying. And I was like, maybe don't.
Have you ever driven in Atlanta? Like, this is a genuine question. Have you ever driven in Atlanta?
I've driven Atlanta. I've driven Los Angeles, New York City, South Florida. They're all bad.
It's the worst. I went to fucking Petit Le Mans and had to drive from the airport once, and for some reason, there were like 6 people parked on the highway. Parked. Came to a stop in the fucking lane. Parked. You're gonna tell me Atlanta's anything? I don't want to hear fucking shit about Atlanta. Absolutely not.
But she's like, I didn't even mention cities. I said all of America. And he's like, oh, well, you can cry about your city. I didn't even mention what city I was in. I didn't say anything about Charlotte or New York City. And he's like, oh, I was just saying Atlanta's bad. And I was like, this is not a dick measuring contest. Just don't. If you ever think about typing something, literally just don't. And I hate when people are like, oh, like, I can just respond to this, right? You don't have to. No one's making you. No one fucking cares. Keep more thoughts inside your head. Shut the fuck up. We all have to shut the fuck up more. Myself, I've started typing things online and I've just deleted them now. I was like, this is not worth it. I can keep it to myself. I can text Elizabeth. I can text people who care, like people who can have conversations with. The internet needs to know less about all of you, your opinions and everything. Not everything needs to be stated. You don't need to go viral every 5 seconds. You don't need to fight with everyone. What is happening?
So I think this is the thing. I've read a lot about this actually because the algorithm that we get now on social media, when it puts things into people's feeds, they feel like they have to respond and fight about it because if the algorithm put it here, it means it's for me and it means it's like a thing I should relate to. And if I don't relate to it, then that's the problem of they like make it the problem of the creator when it's not. It's the problem of the algorithm giving you something that you didn't want. But then now people are like, there's just this lack of like understanding about how all of this goes. Drives me nuts. I have to like hold myself back from responding to people on Reels just because I think they're fucking stupid. And I was like, I don't need to fight about this. I really don't need to.
Lena, thank you for gifting out that sub, by the way, and subscribing. Sorry, I was on a rant and you did something very nice and I didn't want to be like, thank you, where it was like I was yelling at you and I was like, that's actually a really genuinely nice thing for you to do. And I try to remember the good things. Oh, Elizabeth, someone also came, some of you might have seen this, Panda saw this, a gentleman, a child that I recently saw, came into my Discord while I was streaming INDYCAR and said, insane, like started going on this rant and saying that you only have viewers because you're female, you're too lazy to stream the actual race. All you do is cover up 2/4 of the stream to prevent from being banned. It's actually sad you have an audience jerking off to you as you stream and same to watch you yap rather than watch the actual race. We all know you have fat ass R words watching you regardless. Motherfuckers get no hose. Watching you speak nonsense streaming NASCAR and leaderboards. Blah, 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 blah. First of all, I would like to show everyone that the title of my stream said INDYCAR Long Beach with the INDYCAR dashboard. If you do no fucking wheel before you come into my Discord and try and insult me, That's on you, and you made yourself look fucking stupid. NASCAR live timing? That was INDYCAR. I didn't realize Will Power was racing at Bristol this year. What are you saying? If you don't know Wheel, just say so.
That's an insane.
One.
People
Two.
Really.
It's people who are always this shitty who don't engage with any of my content. Because if you saw, I have. You think this Red Bull fridge was free? No, it's because I worked with Red Bull Racing. You think I just interviewed Max Verstappen for shits and gigs? Because I don't know how to stream? No. You think I interviewed Sergio Perez and Scott McLaughlin and work with NASCAR? No. It's because I actually know what I'm talking about. And you're a little fuckface who didn't take the interview time to look. Before you came in here and just got mad because then, he had his YouTube account connected, which he didn't know. And now he does. Because guess what? I'm in there every fucking day asking if he's harassed women today. And I don't care that I'm 33 years old and he's a child. You're going to learn some consequences. And I'm going to be your sleep paralysis demon for the rest of your life. I'm fucking over it. My boyfriend's like, you should maybe stop because this is weird. I was like, I don't give a fuck. What is he going to do?
Honestly, the only way that these people are going to learn is if you just keep making them feel bad about themselves.
I started giving him advice on his videos because I was like, this fucking sucks. Maybe you should fix your audio.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Kick his ass.
We're on the same side. You want to be a creator, I can be a creator. There's plenty enough space for both of us. Because your content fucking sucks doesn't mean you get to come in here and insult my community. First of all,
that's
great,
insane.
Amazing people who probably would have helped you or like talked to you about motorsports if you wanted. We are more than happy to discuss. But instead you came in hot and heavy, and guess what? I have way more experience being an asshole than you, and I'm fucking ready. And I'm going to bother you every fucking day of your goddamn life. I don't even know your name. But guess what? I saw the photo in the background of your video with, I think, your brother. That's screenshotted.
I'm fighting your family. I'm hunting them down.
The most understandable Ash crash out.
Listen, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
I have time. You think I didn't? You think you could just come in my Discord and harass me and say all these disgusting things about not only myself? First of all, he said people only watch me because I'm a woman. Then he said I'm too fat and I need to lose weight. And I'm like, which one is it? Like, pick a struggle, my brother.
They really, really like that argument. I did a donut video and was on camera with them once, and that was the same thing of like these ugly women, and like then they're only hired because they're attractive. And I was like, well, what do you can you pick one? Come on.
I'm sorry that you're a white man and you can't use your privilege for good because your videos fucking suck. Like, it's not my problem. You fucking talk to your parents about it. Maybe, I don't know, crack open a book. Lay off the Andrew Tate videos.
Literally read some fiction. Don't crack open a nonfiction book about how to be better, about fucking more whatever, more optimized. Read some fiction.
Read some fiction. Yeah, don't read Art of War. It's not working. Clearly, you're not taking any good lessons about it. I can't. Sorry. So essentially what I'm trying to tell everyone is I will be canceled coming shortly. If one more person comments something so fucking stupid, I'm like, I can't. I hope the next viral trend is critical. Oh no, my camera. I hope the next viral trend is critical thinking and analysis and in-depth.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Again, reading books. Read some fiction.
I'm over it. Elizabeth, how are you doing? While I fix my camera.
You know, I'm me. It was a long weekend. It's going to be a long week. These triple headers to start off the F1 season are absolutely overwhelming. And I also have to start thinking about getting my shit together to go to Miami, which means I have to start asking for interviews and things and all of the whatnots.
Please hold. Keep talking about Miami. I'm going to just open a window. Maybe my camera will stop overheating. That was just a window.
Yeah, Miami. If you're there, I'd love to say hi, but I don't know how crazy it's going to be. And also, it's going to be hot, and I don't like Florida, so I might just hang out in the media center for as much as I humanly can. Which is why I'm practicing putting my hair up before I go, because every year I show up to hot races like Miami and Austin, and I'm like, I forgot how to style and do anything. Yeah, Miami, I'm not even staying in Miami. I'm staying closer to Fort Lauderdale. I'm flying into the Fort Lauderdale airport because it's cheaper. part of me is like, I want to go to the beach, and then part of me is also like, I think I just want to stay inside for as much as possible. Ash is trying to fix, she's trying to open a window to cool up her camera. She's back.
Sorry, what happened?
You're back.
I am back. Sorry, I've been to Miami twice. I've hated it twice. Miami's gonna be hot. Yeah.
I went to Miami the first year they had Miami, and I have not gone back since because I was just like, didn't enjoy it. Not a fan. But now I got to cover all of the North American races. So if you're at any of those this year, come say hi because I'll be at them.
Where did I just put my phone?
Did you put it out the window?
Fuck all these people. I've had it. Use your brain.
Oh, poor thing.
I should be also currently going to Miami. Is the current plan with folks. When it's confirmed, I'll tell you with whomst and like what's the plan. But the fun thing is they're giving me GA tickets, which I'm excited because I think me and my best friend Sal, we're gonna buy him tickets also, like GA, and we're just gonna vibe all weekend.
That'll be fun.
He lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Nice.
We're just gonna party.
Peasy. Hell yeah, brother. I'm excited to hear your review of what the GA is like, because I walked around the first year, but I can only imagine it has changed significantly since then. So.
Common metric W. I'm excited. It should be fun. And honestly, this could be, it'll be interesting to see GA and like what. Because I've been to Montreal GA, I've been to Coda GA, and those weren't bad. They had pretty good viewing spots. I just like don't know if Miami is as open, as easily accessible, and I'm not excited about the prices, but
yeah, I don't know. The food might be good. Seems like they've got some good people, restaurants bringing in things.
Yeah, I've lived in the food in South Florida in general is pretty good. I think they try to partner with local businesses to the best of their ability for some of the stuff. So that should be really, really good. But yeah, I'm excited for Miami.
I had a really good Cuban like 2 weeks ago for Cubano, and I'm like so excited to be in the part of Florida where like that is from. I'm gonna eat so many sandwiches.
Someone said, put the price of voting up because chat made that poll of who's better, Mike Verstappen and Kyle Larson. And a lot of you guys have channel points. And I don't think chat realized how many channel points are in here. So, put up the price of voting. Cubano's nice. You just got chapped. Just got chapped. Should I stop ranting and go? I'm just letting you guys know. If I find out any one of you are ever assholes on the internet, like
I'm coming for you.
Just like unprovoked, like if you just go into random women's discords and just shit on them, first of all, banned forever for everything I ever do. If you comment on anything, I will find you and ban you. Done. Also, you're a goddamn idiot.
Throw them in the trash.
Throw them in the trash. Throw them in the trash. Please don't do that. Just be nice. Before you realize you're getting angry, some things are rage bait. And if you fall for it and you're okay with that, fine. But just not everyone wants to argue. Some people just write things, and sometimes some things are a mistake. You just have a nice back and forth. God damn it! Let me live.
What happened to your camera?
Dog, I don't know! In the bin.
Poor thing. You poor thing.
I'm raging too hard.
Even opening the window wasn't enough.
No, it's just like too hot in North Carolina, I guess.
Well, now you're back. Now you're not.
I was?
I'm getting an ad for Olaplex.
How fun. Ugh, binned it. All right, let's just fucking do this show. Let's just get after it. Let's just fucking do it. If my camera breaks, then so be it.
But is it doing this when you're doing your live streams for like watch-alongs?
Oh no, it's not. Oh, there we go. Oh, now it's back. Oh no.
So it's just I'm here and I curse it.
What is it? That's a great question. I actually have no idea what the problem is.
That's wild.
It was all fine during INDYCAR. It was all fine during Formula 1. It's not connected to the same computers. I have no idea.
Huh.
Oh, there it goes again!
I'm just the bad luck charm.
It's gotta be maybe the cord or something?
Rest in pieces.
Yeah, Elizabeth, this is all you. This is your show now.
I'll take the blame. The Elizabeth and Elizabeth show.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should put up 2 Elizabeths.
Talking to myself.
Dog? What is happening?
We are going crazy.
We're not cooking with gas. Oh my god, maybe that guy hacked my computer.
Now that'd be a mess. Ash finally got censored. Oh no.
So funny.
Rest in pieces.
We're just down bad, chat. Let's see if that does anything. Ugh. Finally got censored. They can't stop me. I've been through many copyright schools. I have a stinging suspicion I know what it is. I'm going to order it right now.
Right.
But besides that, everything's going well.
Oh, hell's bells.
I just don't like, why are like people stupid?
It's so easy to not be.
It's so easy to not be.
It's so easy to just be a chill guy.
I'm starting not to think it's not the camera. It is the camera link. We're just going to order that real. Get for pickup. Micro Center, baby.
Nice.
Oh, I wonder if someone responded to my email. No, he did not. Someone, this is another thing I dislike. If you follow up with me via email too quickly, I hate it. Someone like keeps following up with me like to fix my invoice on something. And it's like, first of all, why didn't you notice this all at once? And then second of all, give me at least 48 hours. Do not even do like the less than 24 before you follow up with me.
Less than 24 is
I've already
insane.
said I am doing as much as one human can. I will do this as fast as possible when I am able to.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that was professional enough.
There's just too much going on. Like, there's always just too much going on.
It's too much going on.
Yeah. All right. You ready to dig into this show?
Let's dig into this show. 24 minutes of rants from Ashley.
Let's start with our rapid fire news. First up, Jorge Martin returned to MotoGP in Qatar this weekend after he had an injury in preseason testing, only to crash and be clipped by another rider. So this poor man has a collapsed lung and multiple rib fractures immediately after, like, he got medical clearance just for this race, just now. It's wild because it doesn't... I saw a video clip of it circulating, and it doesn't even look like anything happened, which I think is just a testament to how fast these are going, the bikes, and how, I don't know, it was like, oh, it looked like he just got bumped, but also, if you've ever been hit by a car, you know that it's not that. I got hit by a car going like 20 miles an hour, and that really fucked me up for a while, so no fun. He's going to be out for a while. I think he's going to be in the hospital in Doha until he can be transferred safely, probably to wherever he calls home.
I hate bringing this up, but I feel like I shall. The Isle of Man TT. Yeah. That is coming up. Is it May 26th? Oh, okay. It's 26th to June 7th. Okay, so we can hold on to that conversation. But when people see incidents like this, they're like, is this too dangerous for people to start doing? And should we stop people from themselves? I think that conversation. But they're like, we stop people? And that's a big conversation for that. Considering there have been deaths in as recently as last year. So it's been pretty rough to like, yeah, they're adults. They can make their own decisions. They sign their own waivers.
Did we go offline? There we go. No, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay,
Now I'm
welcome
dead.
back. No, you're
Okay.
back. I see you.
Okay.
I see chat.
Oh. Ugh. Everything is happening. It
It's
is
just
just one
one
of
of
those
those
days.
days. The internet's
Ugh.
like, you know what? I also have a problem with you.
Yeah, Isle of Man. Pikes Peak is another one that is pretty dangerous. So I can't remember the last time there was a death there. Probably, I think it was very recently as well. Conversations to have for another day, not in the throes of our news roundup. We've got next up, Jackie Stewart was turning laps in his Tyrrell 006 before Bahrain, which was very cool. He was doing it for his charity that he has set up called Race Against Dementia, which is basically established in honor of his wife Helen, who is suffering dementia very badly. He did some really great interview recently where he said that she was like he was sitting next to her and she was asking him, "Where's Jackie?" And that's got to be
That's
a
rough.
very
Yeah.
painful thing for someone like you've been married for so many decades.
Yeah.
Notable here is that he's auctioning off the helmet that he wore, which was signed by all living world driver champions in Formula One, including Michael Schumacher. Schumacher got help to sign that with his from his wife. So that's going to be whoever gets that, that is a very special. I wish I was rich, so that I could have that, but I'm not. And yeah, it'll be auctioned off for charity, so it'll be good.
Yeah, the pictures of him holding it around was pretty fun.
Hmm.
So,
I
do we know
guess
how much it's going for? Excuse
I
me.
have no idea. I don't know if they've even set it up yet. I'm gonna imagine
We'll keep
it's gonna
track.
be a lot.
It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. I hope it gets donated to a museum somewhere, and then I can go look at it.
This
That would be
belongs in a
nice.
museum. No, that's not going to happen, please.
Next up, Carlos Sainz became the first driver to be fined under the FIA's new code of conduct, which bans things like political speech and cursing, because this man, all right, so he first got fined in Japan. He was like 5 seconds late to the start of the national anthem, and all the drivers, they must be at the national anthem. Um, this guy, this poor fella, had a tummy ache. He was he was having some kind of, I don't know, like
You're just having tummy
I
issues.
some IBS problem. He was
Yeah.
waiting in line for the bathroom talking to a doctor. So he got fined for that. And then in Bahrain, everyone was asking him about it. And in the official press conference, the official FI press conference, this man said, "Shit happens," which immediately got him fined because he said a swear word. So this poor guy has just
Boo.
been just absolutely demolished. I think the very funny part is that Alex Albon got a fine as well for crashing into almost crashing into the rookie that they had in the Williams for FP1.
Mm-hmm.
But the test or the crash there costs less. The fine was less for almost hitting your teammate on track than it was for almost shitting your pants. So,
Just shit your pants next time, Carlos Sainz.
exactly. Just do it. Do it live. Do it in front of the world.
Also, like he had a doctor's note. I think we talked about this last week, but like he was
Yeah,
with. Like I don't think it's. I can get it. You want
I
them to
know.
be there, but he didn't do it on purpose, and he's always
Yeah.
there, and he's always
Yeah.
like everyone does their best. Like he had a doctor. The doctor came with him to talk to the FIA, or like he had the note or something, and it's just like, let it be.
Yeah. Kim in.
Classic FIA.
Catherine Legg and Elf Cosmetics are coming back this year for several more Xfinity and Cup races. The Xfinity lineup is going to be Rockingham, Charlotte, so there's no Indy 500 for her this year, Talladega, Texas, Nashville, Atlanta, and Indy. And as far as the Cup Series goes, she's going to be doing Mexico, Chicago, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and Richmond. So fun lineup. I'm excited that we're going to see more of her, and I believe has expressed publicly now at this point that the goal here is for her to get more stock car experience so that in the future she can be one of the people who does the double. Which
Yeah.
I think that'd
Yeah.
be pretty freaking slick to do both. So very, very sick on her part. I love her. I'm glad she's doing things.
How do I reach out to Elf? I like DM'd him on Instagram and I was like, I need to find someone's email. I was like, I feel like we can work
I
together very well.
I have the email of the person who manages her account specifically, so I can send you that. Yeah, I
Thank you,
got you covered,
Elizabeth.
B.
Everyone say thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome, everyone. Um,
Oh, this next one's gonna be fun.
yeah. Next up, FIA Deputy President of Sport Robert Reed resigned from his position. This is a big deal because this guy is basically the right-hand man to Mohammed bin Salem. They were buddies. They were close. Robert Reed was one of the people who helped him, MBS, get elected to this role. And now he has resigned. He said, "My resignation is not about personalities, it is about principles. Motorsport deserves leadership that is accountable, transparent, and member-driven. I can no longer, in good faith, remain part of a system that does not reflect those values." And he further went on to express growing alarm over critical decisions being made without due process or proper consultation, both internally and with FIA members and the FIA governance bodies. So this is one of the guys who publicly spoke out against the fact that the FIA is asking all member organizations to sign NDAs before they join up to discuss things in the World Motorsport Council meetings. Robert Reed said no, and I th I think there was a lot of pushback against that internally. The UK governing body for motorsport is in the same boat, releasing letters about this. There's a lot of pushback immediately after Reed resigned, from previous people who resigned to say like, yeah, we're in the same boat. A lot of people in the FI, the power drain that is happening there is absolutely absurd right now. It's just wild.
We were talking about this a little bit in the Discord. What do you do if you're a quote unquote like think you're doing it for moral reasons, etc.? Do you stay and like try to fight the powers that be and constantly get just like bogged down and hit in the face and being told no and not winning? Or do you leave and be like, I can't like warn
Yeah.
people? Like what do you like how do you
I
fix
think
this?
I think this is, I don't know, because part of me is like you want to stay, right? You want to be the person on the inside who can push back against these things, but also if you're a person on the inside and the only way that you are able to be inside is to sign NDAs to not talk about anything that you are discussing, you're probably gonna get fired anyway. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of folks at the FI who have just legit been canned because they disagree with how things are being run. So you can either resign or get fired. I don't know which one is the more, I don't know, morally reprehensible, morally good version of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, there's a lot going on within the FIA, so keep an eye on that. That impacts not just Formula One, but WEC, Formula E, all kinds of various racing series that you just don't expect, even down to local levels. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a wild one. We are, I don't know, it's not looking good. It's looking bad.
It's
It's
interesting.
looking pretty upsetting.
Someone asked her like what's the likelihood that MBS doesn't get reelected, and I was like very like he will be, like he
Yeah.
will be reelected. There was like a 99% chance because now, right, you mentioned Robert's the one who was good at would be the only one that could challenge him, but then they changed the
Yeah.
rules. He's making it harder to run against him.
Yeah.
He's doing all this stuff, as you said. So very likely the way he's building it, and he's got rid of the ethics committee, and he's one of the
Mhm.
people in the ethics committee now. So it's just like this, like what are we doing here?
Yeah. He's the guy who is in charge of deciding whether or not he spent his own money well, which is like insane. Uh, so I can't blame anyone who decided to step back on that. I can't blame anyone who raised such a stink that they got fired. It's gonna be, we'll keep tabs on that one. It's been going on.
Yeah.
Um, Secret Ingredient says we should all be keeping a close eye on that. on the changes that will be proposed at the Summer General Assembly, re-MBS, and the election. That's a great point. Could be changing some rules there about how elections happen in the FIA, which is no fun. And finally, on our news roundup, 2311 and Front Row Motorsport, who are taking NASCAR to court and suing them under the allegation that NASCAR operates as a monopoly, subpoenaed Liberty Media for financial documents about how Liberty Media runs Formula One. And Liberty Media said no. They will not provide those documents. This is kind of a big thing because they've been working on this for quite a while. The lawyers and the representation for 2311 and FRM sat down with lawyers from Liberty Media and hashed out a deal, basically of like, here are 5 things that we want from you, and those are 5 things that they thought maybe Liberty Media would provide. And then they said no. So this is like the Liberty Media told them, look at our public financial records and work backwards. Which you can't. The information that FRM and 2311 are seeking is how, like, the formula for how prize money is distributed, why certain teams get certain amounts of money, and how this all functions. Liberty says no. So Colorado court is currently determining how to handle that, whether or not they can force them to obey the subpoena, whether or not it is actually relevant to the lawsuit in question. So we'll see how that goes. I would really love if they had to publicly talk about that money because I want to know how that goes. But F1 really keeps that under wraps thanks to the Concord Agreement and all of that stuff. So
the NFL, they also asked the NFL to like compare how they do it, and like that was their reasoning and stuff, which like I get, but the NFL also said just like no, like your ask was too broad because it would expose too much like other stuff, and like if you narrow down your ask, maybe we can give you what you want. Like I understand why they're asking the NFL, and I wonder if they asked the NBA, the MLB, like are they asking other sports or just like NFL is what we want to model or like what we're looking at. But yeah, the NFL didn't tell them to completely F off. Yeah, they asked for a more specific ask as opposed to just like all of their files. So
yeah, and this is what happened basically with Liberty Media as well. They sat down with Liberty Media lawyers, hashed out a specific list, like 5, I think it was like 5 things that they wanted, 5 general pieces of information, and then now the Liberty Media is saying actually that's still too much. So we'll see how that goes. Keep my peepers peeled on that one. There's a lot of wild shit going on.
They wanted a new Concord Agreement. That's not happening. LOL. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Crazy.
A lot of behind the scenes. It's just like again, this is one of those things. I think also in news, it's rumored that George Russell has re-signed to, according to Yahoo Sports, expected to sign a 2-year extension with an option for 2028. The agreement is believed to be worth $30 million per season. But in the grand scheme of all things that are sports, I understand everyone I think gets paid too much, but if Bryce Harper is getting paid like 200 whatever freaking million, I understand over 13 years, I think 30 million for George Russell and even like 50 million for Max or 45, it's just like whoa.
Yeah.
This oil, gas money, you guys are all money laundering in the paddock. Don't fucking try to put that past
me.
You're telling me you can't give the drivers more money? I would say it's inherently more dangerous racing this car around the world, like these triple headers, like whatever we're doing, and you're only giving this guy $30 million a year.
I know. Well, think about the guys at the bottom of the grid. I don't know how much.
They barely make like $1 million, if that.
Yeah, I know. Insane. Well, we had a Formula One race this weekend. We went to Bahrain, and McLaren scored a home victory because McLaren is now owned by Bahrain, basically.
But no one mentioned that. No one mentioned that in my broadcast that I was watching, that it was their home race.
No one's. Draken PWN, actually, hold on, let me answer this one. I'm out of the loop, but what does NASCAR have to do with F1's Liberty Media? NASCAR is trying to prove that two teams in NASCAR are trying to prove that the way NASCAR operates is bad, basically. That it is disenfranchising teams and prioritizing the series over the welfare of the teams. They want to see the information from Formula One in order to see how Formula One structures its payments to teams, how it, you know, how it uses its income and distributes it within the group of people so that they can use it as a perhaps as an argument to say NASCAR is doing this poorly because Formula One does it like this.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just laughing at chat. Speaking of McLaren,
Yes.
As we're continuing on here, Oscar Piastri. What a great race.
Oscar
P1 in my
Oscar
heart and on the
Piastri.
podium.
Mm-hmm. I was super like, what a good race. What a well-managed race.
Yeah.
Um, just got a lead, held the lead, did pretty dang good. I can't believe like it's cool that he's the first driver this year to score 2 victories.
Yeah.
Which is neat. I don't know. He he's got it. This car works for him. He works with the car. When things go wrong, I loved
Just
this
chill.
weekend when they called him up on the radio and they're like, "Hey, you can use your drinks bottle," and he was like, "I would if it worked," but like he didn't bitch about it on the radio prior to that. He
Yeah.
didn't like make that a thing, didn't make that known. It was just like uh, I guess I just have to drive without it. I think it's very cool. I like him.
I would call him like the Iceman, but like just driving, not like to interviews. 'Cause I think interviews he's still pretty personal. Like he answers questions. I think
Yeah.
he's a drier sense of humor than most people are used to. But I still think
Yeah.
that's pretty funny, and I think he's pretty funny online and does all this stuff. I think when he's driving
hmm
though, he just like doesn't give a shit if you're his teammate, you're a rookie, you're like Fernando Alonso, you're Lewis Hamilton. You're like, I'm gonna race and I'm gonna do this cleanly
Exactly.
and well, and I'm gonna execute. And gosh, I saw one of those edits that people do on Instagram for their favorite drivers, and Oscar Piastri came up on my phone. Thank you, algorithm, for knowing me. And there was an interview someone did with him. They're like, "Oh, if it was you versus Lando, who would win?" And like without skipping a beat, this man said, "Me." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And when we're talking about championship, first of all, when we're talking about championship mentality, we're talking about something like Oscar Piastri. He's not letting things phase him. He's done mess ups
Yes.
before, but he's like, "I'm locking in. I know how to fix this." And we're looking at patterns. What Ashley always says, in the past year, like third season in Formula One, he's just been
hmm
absolutely crushing it with fixing his mistakes.
Yeah.
Previously, before, he couldn't overtake, he couldn't keep up the race pace, blah, blah, blah. He's improved year after year. He
hmm
still has a very high ceiling to go. His racecraft has improved greatly, and still has so much to do that when he like tops out at his peak, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
The current
It's
trajectory. It's awesome.
it's really I think it's cool to see because he's one of those drivers who like yes, he definitely got into McLaren at kind of the right time. They got in on the upswing, but you can actually see very clearly the way that he has progressed as a driver. And sometimes it takes some drivers a lot longer to kind of get up to speed. 50 races, this guy kind of has nailed it. He still has work to do, of course, but he's really, really figured out compete, how to compete in Formula One.
When do we talk about
And
his teammate who I think, look, this is rough, and I understand. Australia was
I'm,
really good for Lando Norris. It was
yeah,
great, but that was a one-off. He's come
yeah,
back to being his usual self, crumbling, being. I feel bad for talking about him or like criticizing him because he's so hard on himself. I am
yeah,
uncomfortable watching him talk about himself
yeah,
because they're like, "What's wrong with the car?" And he like points at himself, and he looks like. And I get it, like it's hard, but like you're making me feel weird for feeling like
yeah.
not liking how you're driving. Like I can't even talk about you because you're just already so like tough on yourself.
So I'm gonna drop 2 links because I talked about this kind of in depth this week. First on the F1
Nice.
Word YouTube, and then on Planet F1, I did another kind of deep dive. So my thoughts here, clearly Lando has something going on. I don't want to like we've talked about his mentality not quite being up to par in the past on this show, so I don't want to like hammer that home again because it's not changed. But there is something to be said about positive self-talk.
Hmm.
I have researched this. That is like the thing that makes a successful athlete is being able to talk to yourself like you would talk to your friend. Lando does not have that capability, it seems. And I also noticed in listening to the various audio from the team after the race that Lando jumps to blame himself, but Andrea Stella jumps to blame the team. So they are both like Andrea Stella made a whole point this weekend of saying it's a good thing that Lando doesn't point the finger at the team. It's a good thing he's not saying, it's all of you guys because that causes dissent. It distracts from the overall goal. I have argued that in my planetf1.com piece that this is equally distracting because it is still not getting to the point at hand, which is the fact that there is something going on here. Lando is not clicking with this car. We're never hearing why.
Hmm.
We're never hearing specifically, and I'm sure these are things they're talking about in the debrief, but we just keep hearing him say, I don't know why the car is bad. I don't know why I don't click with it. I don't know why I feel like I've never driven a Formula One car before. Um, Honey, you gotta figure that shit out. You need to sit down with the team and you both need to say what's going on. Andrea Stella was like, we made changes to the car that made him uncomfortable, and you can't expect an uncomfortable driver to do well. But like, yes, you can. I don't know. I can't imagine that driving a Formula One car is comfortable in any possible sense, anyway. But I think that there needs to be some element of like, you just need to either get over it or you need to sit down with a team and say, this thing that you did is causing me actual distress and
Yeah.
impacting my performance in the race. So let's change it and see what happens. Like that's a successful athlete. That's a good team leader. And that's a good, like, that's perfect for self-advocating. We just, he's struggling with that right now.
Atlanta's
So
been bitching about the car since at least China.
I tracked this down. Preseason testing.
Oh,
They
that
said, do
far.
you think, yeah, do you think that you are the favorites? Do you think that McLaren is top of the charts? Do you think you can compete for a championship? And he was saying, I don't think the car is as good as you think it is. And he's gone very like hard on the media of like the media just keeps reporting what everyone is saying without actually doing any research. So you if you actually looked at it, you would see that the car is not that good, but you just report what all the other drivers are saying without looking into it. So he's like not making himself any friends in this process either.
Yeah.
But we're talking preseason testing. He's setting the bar low and still failing to achieve it, I think. And that is an issue.
But then you have Oscar on the other end of the spectrum saying the car's great. He's loving
Yeah.
it. He's doing great.
Yeah.
He wants to extract more from it. And then I think what did
Yeah.
he say? He said, "Yeah, the car's great." If anyone who says otherwise, like, just doesn't know what like he said something along those
Yeah.
lines, like insinuating that his teammate
It would be
just
incorrect to say
oh
otherwise.
yeah, it'd be incorrect to say otherwise that the car isn't great. And then you have Lando
Yeah.
Norris, at least for my notes in China, saying that the car is understeery. He hasn't been confident in it. Doesn't feel comfortable with the car. It's not the best car he's ever driven. And it's just like, oh
Yeah.
damn, what is Oscar clocking on you? That
Yeah.
you do not. So we were talking about earlier how like Oscar's really just flying through his just his career, not flying through, but like growing at a rapid rate and like getting
Yeah.
the skill set, learning very quickly, having that racecraft. When do we talk about Lando Norris not doing that? When can I stop giving him opportunities? Everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh, it took this driver so and so, it took this driver so and so, and I'm like, great. When is
I
that for
just
Lando Norris? When do we have this conversation? Just like, yeah, he's a good driver. He's just not going to be in the GOAT conversation. He's not going to be in like
yeah.
the whatever conversation. I think Oscar's not yet there either, but he currently is showing us a lot more potential than
Yeah.
whatever's going on with Lando Norris the past couple of seasons.
Yeah. And I don't discount that like there are things like features of a car that some drivers enjoy more than others. And I don't discount that there's probably something about this new McLaren that Lando's just not clicking with. But I guess the pattern that I am noticing is that when he speaks to media, at the very least, he's not explaining where the issues are. He's unable to pinpoint why he feels bad in this car, which makes me think he's unable to pinpoint to the team
Mm-hmm.
what's bad with this car
Mm-hmm.
and how to improve. And that is a critical element of success in a Formula One team. Why does Max Verstappen always crush it at Red Bull Racing? Because he knows exactly what he wants out of this car, and the team bends over backwards to give it to him. If you cannot communicate to your team what you want, you can't get it. You just won't get it. Francis Baconator says it's not really fair because early McLarens weren't good, and Oscar got in when they found their development footing, which I grant that that is absolutely the case, but at this point, Lando has been embedded with his team for so long that you would think that he knows how to communicate better with them.
He can't drive
That
shitty
he
cars. He
knows,
can't drive a good car. What car
yeah,
can he drive? Like,
yeah.
what are we
I
waiting
don't
for?
know.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I, it- I think we're seeing a turning of the tides at McLaren. Lando is still in the lead of the championship standings. That is because of Oscar Piastri's run off the road and getting stuck in the grass in Australia when the rain came out. He fought his way back up to ninth, which was a great performance, but he should have been in a podium position. Um, so yeah,
George
I
Russell's only
think
14 points away as well. It's
exactly,
just still very, very narrow, which is fine. I mean, it's only 4 races. We got plenty of time, but it's still pretty good.
exactly. Yeah. So it's gonna be a fun battle shaping up this year. I'm like actually I feel I feel like we're gonna have bad feelings. I feel like we're gonna hurt feelings this year in a way that has not happened in a while in Formula One. Like I'm thinking back to 2015 US Grand Prix when Lewis Hamilton tossed the podium hat to Nico Rosberg and Rosberg like chucked it back. I'm like kind of hoping we get there again just because what drama, what delight, how great. It's just going to be uncomfortable to watch because Lando is very hard on himself. It's one of those things of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. When I was in college and I was in creative writing classes, people would write stories that you could tell were about themselves. So you always felt really weird critiquing it, where it's like, I don't think this makes sense or whatever. Like, this is bad storytelling. And it's like, well, it's about my trauma. I am sure that it is, but that does not a good story make. It's this, I think it's the same situation of like, I feel like you can't, I feel stuck saying things about this because I'm like, I don't want to be a dick. But also, girl, what's going on?
My next question is, which I'm sure
Yes.
someone inherently going to ask, and look, I got my personal beef with Lando Norris, and he's shown, like Australia again, showed me a
Yeah.
little bit of what he can do if he fucking locked in. But then we've never saw it again. I don't know where that went. I don't know what happened there.
I mean, his start this weekend was fantastic. He also just started outside of his box,
But
which
it was the
I
whole
was,
race was just messy for a
yeah.
WDC leader, for someone who's finally who's been in there for so long. Like, what do you mean you can't pass these people and you're like overshooting corners and you're locking up your like, what are you doing? You're so much
Yeah.
better than this. I mean, I think
Yeah.
you are, and I like know you have the skill set to do these things.
Yeah. What's going on?
What is going on?
What's happening?
Why?
Ugh. I don't know. I think in the stories that I've been working on this weekend, I can only imagine the like wild mindset shift that hit Norris last year. Um, the team has been very open and saying like we didn't expect to be competitive until 2025, and even then they didn't expect to be world championship competitive. So all of a sudden we go from Lando Norris on the defensive being like fighting against the Lando no wins nickname to winning in Miami to suddenly everyone in the entire media going, "Oh my God, do we have a championship fight on our hands? Can someone unseat Max Verstappen?" I can only imagine like that's a shitload of pressure to go on from you
Sure,
win your I mean you win your first race and then suddenly it's like, "All right, win the rest of them."
but he
But like
knows
also
this.
he's
This
in his
was
seventh year of F1. He was in
yeah.
his sixth year last year. You gotta pick it up.
Yeah, it just like you should have been locked the fuck in. Like as soon as that happened, you, your team, your management, your sports psychologist, are like, all right, next level, let's do this.
Hmm.
Like, like there's just something missing, and I just like don't understand why.
Does Lando Norris have a pet? I feel
Does he need a dog or a cat,
I feel like he
a
needs
rabbit, a
I feel like
ferret?
he needs something
Oh,
to
he's a
love.
ferret guy.
He is a ferret guy.
He would love a
He's a
ferret.
ferret guy. Yeah.
Lando did overcome a 5-second penalty. Yeah, he has a great car. And
Hmm.
coming to 6 from whatever to get to second, but he could use that positive self-talk that Liz mentioned earlier. Yeah, yet
Yeah.
again, like he didn't have a bad race, like from the numbers, like great.
Hmm.
But then you're watching the race and you're like, this is just so messy.
Yeah.
Why
It
are
was
you
one of those races that it was
why are you
like,
making it harder on yourself to do this?
yeah, you could see where it could have been better. And I think that is unfortunately a similar issue. Even when he has won races, in a lot of instances, it's been like, I can see where he could have improved and
Yeah.
where he could have had a much stronger performance, and he just did not.
Yeah. So,
So,
4 races in, keep looking for patterns.
yeah. Yeah. We got our peepers peeled.
We get Saudi Arabia next. Interested to see
Mm-hmm.
how that goes down for them.
Yup. We had moving on. We had a crazy situation qualifying this week that I wanted to touch on because I think a lot of people are still confused as to what exactly happened. So, Nico Hulkenberg
Hmm.
had his Q1 lap deleted for exceeding track limits 45 minutes after Q1. What happened? So, the the issue here is that Hulkenberg had just pipped Alex Albon. So Hulkenberg was able to progress on to Q2 and compete in Q2, whereas Alex Albon was knocked out in Q1, despite the fact that they felt that the car had more performance. Hulkenberg exceeded track limits at turn 11. The FIA does not monitor turn 11 quite as much as they do other corners. Each weekend, the FIA looks at a racetrack and says, here's where we expect certain track limits violations to come down to. They have automated systems. They have cameras now that like it can peg instantly when a driver like goes over the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can know instantly, we can delete your track limits file. You can delete your lap here. Turn 11 was not one of those tracks this weekend where they were actually actively monitoring it. So the FIA had to come out with this statement and say that, the checks in the areas of the circuit, such as turn 11, take a bit longer than those of high priority. Unfortunately, in this case, due to the timing of the check, it was not possible to act before the start of Q2. As soon as we became aware of the incident, we acted on it. We are building toward increased resources and improved systems and processes. On this occasion, we got it wrong. So good on them for saying we got it wrong. But also, oof, that it feels, I don't know, it feels very egregious.
They apologize because they also messed up for Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
And at least they said, my bad, as opposed to sweeping it under the rug. So we love progress.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Seems perhaps something is happening. I don't know. Yes.
Interesting enough, I remember when MBS, was it last year? Something. When he was saying that he's so proud of the stewarding that he's made, or like they've fixed in the FIA, because now they have a control room at the headquarters while the race is ongoing to help the stewards at the track, and it's very robust. And then I'm seeing this shit happen, and I was like, did you just fucking lie to us to get reelected?
Well, there's always the possibility. I do think it is better. I can't remember. I think it was Austria like 2 years ago where after the race there were like
Yeah.
or after qualifying there were so many penalties because they didn't have the ability to check in the race who violated track limits, and there were like hundreds of them. So they have definitely improved in the sense of at least only one kind of went under the radar and was really delayed, as opposed to like the entire grid.
Yeah.
Still not comfy, still not great. Could use some work. Can use some work. But that is what happened.
Yes, Ingredient says the FIA does have a race support function, but it's nowhere near what they're trying to sell us on. Interesting. Wow, what a coincidence. You're saying MBS just says things that aren't true?
Alas.
Alas, we're never getting invited to races again. Ooh, yeah, let's talk about George Russell next. I see it on your notes.
Yeah, George Russell freaking killed it this weekend.
I never thought I'd say nice things about George Russell. Here we are.
Dude, I know.
Sorry, George.
Finished P2 despite an overwhelming electrical failure in his car. Do you want to talk? It was like the brake-by-wire was the first to go.
we have a bunch of stuff here. So yeah, so failed transponder, loss of dashboard functions, failure of DRS to automatically arm itself, and the brake-by-wire function disappearing. So the brake-by-wire and the DRS systems had to be reverted to passive mode, meaning they had to be armed manually. And for the brake-by-wire specifically, unless Russell wanted to manually reset the system every time he wanted to use the brakes, he would only get rear braking from the small disc and without any of the reverse torque of the energy recovery through the MGUK. So he said the biggest one for him was brake-by-wire. The pedal was hard at one corner and would be going to the floor to the next, and he would have no idea what was going to happen until he approached a corner. This man had no idea what was happening with his brakes. He was just like, I'm pressing.
Yeah. That's wild.
And Lando Norris still couldn't pass him. Sorry. I just wanted to make my point.
Very wild. They
yelling.
were concerned that the dash, his entire dash, might go out, which would mean no communications back to the pit wall. He would have had to kind of do it. I don't know if he would have been able to shift at that point because the gearbox was having issues as well. I also just kind of want to highlight something crazy here, which is how one minor issue with one driver can kind of throw the entire race for a loop. Norris's transponder was picking up only at the start-finish line. For the rest of it, the transponder wasn't working. So there was F1 couldn't display graphics with live data. It couldn't show the gaps between any of the cars because Russell was throwing the entire thing off. Yeah. Didn't know where he was on the track until he crossed the start-finish line, so they had to take the whole tower out. They also had issues with DRS. So Lando behind him, I imagine part of the reason he couldn't overtake was he didn't know the exact gap. Usually you've got that on your dash of like, all right, I'm within a second, so I can try now. He had to like visually size it up because he didn't want to get a penalty for being outside of a second. Yes.
Yeah, that just shows me that he's like, this is not me even gassing up Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso. I genuinely think without that information, they totally could have passed George Russell. Visually. Yeah. I think Max would have been like, oh, he can't brake? Perfect. I'm going to dive bomb it. Like, you know, like he would have figured it out. Like, they just would have known what to do. And Lando was like, oh, I don't have my toys. Like a Gen Z driver.
Yeah.
iPad kid. And he's just like, oh, I don't have my data, which is fine. But also, like, ugh.
Yeah. There's a big conversation, I think, to be had of, like, data is clearly important for Formula One these days, but it never should be the thing. You know what I mean? It should never be the only thing you focus on.
DRS usage, fine. I completely understand where that's, like, you don't want to be wrong if you're not close to him.
Yeah, because what if you get a penalty?
That I totally understand, but you can't get him on the slow corners where you know your car is just essentially 100% better.
Come on, girl.
And he's on 20-plus lap old softs, which we'll talk about. Pirelli just needs to fix something. And you're on new mediums, and you can't do this?
Yeah. Insane. Absolutely insane. The only asterisk I think after the race was that Russell used DRS where he was not supposed to on the racetrack because the whole system was freaking out. So yeah. I think he activated it on accident and whatever. Did not give him a performance advantage. So the FIA ultimately determined that there was no penalty. Even if there was a performance advantage, still feel like he didn't deserve a penalty for that.
Yeah, he said, the steward said he activated it for 37 meters out of the 700-meter straight. It gained him 0.02, but then he lifted to compensate, giving up 0.2.
Okay, so he
gave a lot more back than he gained.
Did.
So they're like, like you said, no sporting advantage.
Yeah.
But I was still surprised. I don't know. I feel like if shit's that broken, don't you get a meatball? Like if you can't, I don't know, I guess Lando's brakes were still working at, was it China?
Yeah.
So they didn't give him the meatball for that. But like at some point, does it become, like if you lost dashboard functions, like there's no way the FIA is like, you need to pit. Like you need to come on in. If you can't talk, can't figure out, they can't tell you how to manually reset
If you don't have anything in your dash, and especially at that point, if the dash has gone off, I would imagine that like he was already having issues with the brakes and whatnot. So at that point, I'm like, okay, we don't have any dash functionality. How is he ever going to shift, etc. Brake? I'm interested. I hope. Maybe I'll just ask the FIA about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever actually get an answer, but I do think it is interesting of like what would determine the meatball flag here. What would determine saying, Russell, you're done.
Yeah, like this is unsafe because people thought the same thing for Lando's brakes. That it's just like you just need obviously need brakes for racing, and especially with George Russell now knowing what is going on with his brakes, and such dealing with high speeds and other people who are driving substantially faster and not as cautious as you. But speaking of, I also like that George Russell, and someone mentioned this in the chat, and I apologize, I forgot who said it, that he was just like so cool, like he still joked about like stuff, like he was just like
Fernando's steering wheel came off in practice, and he was like, "Oh, Dash might die, but at least it's not coming off of my hands."
Yeah.
What a guy.
And take all the soft tires. That's audacious. And I was like, that's fun. That's such a good George Russell thing to say. And like that fits him. Not like he's trying new words. I was like, that is audacious.
Yeah.
This is working out perfectly for you. He was just very chill. I was very surprised. Watching his onboards and everything, I was just like, wow, he's crushing this right now.
Yeah. It was really good. He was very proud of himself after the race, as he should be. Toto Wolff was very proud of him after the race, as he should be. Called it like one of the best drives of his career, because that's crazy. It really was. Just a shout out to George Russell as like, I don't want to call him the dark horse because he's not that far behind, but he has just been so quietly good this whole season. He's fucking there when he needs to be, racking up the points. I'm not sure if it'll turn into a championship run in the future just because McLaren is pretty good, but not bad.
Elizabeth, have I introduced you to my conspiracy theory?
Ooh, what's your conspiracy theory?
That for some reason, like, the broadcast just hasn't been showing George Russell any of these races. Before he had his issues, they would like pant it on the broadcast a little bit, but then they would talk about Carlos Sainz. I made this joke when I was doing my watch log. I was like, why are they not talking about George Russell? He's like doing great. He's like, yet again, just crushing it. Mercedes with their pit stops. Everything's going quickly, not talking about it. And then they showed George Russell, and all of a sudden they're like, there was a pause, and I was like, oh, finally, like this makes sense. Like maybe my conspiracy's done. They're like, yeah, Carlos Sainz just moved up to 6th. And I was like, what are you doing? Why you're looking at George Russell and you're like, fuck this guy. We're talking about Carlos Sainz. And it wasn't until things went inherently wrong and like Lando was chasing him that they started talking about him. But every other race before then, and I think I mentioned in the press conference after China, for all his questions, they asked him 2 questions. One of them was about him. The rest were about McLaren. Wow. And then like all the questions went to Oscar and Lando. Nothing about George Russell. I feel like on the broadcast they're not like really talking about him. And I was just like, damn. Is it because he's like boring? Like he's winning because he's clean. He's just doing his stuff. He's just putting down laps. He's not anything exciting. He's finally out of Lewis's shadow, and this man still can't get any screen time.
I know.
What are we doing?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Shit had to break for him to be finally talked about and been like, oh yeah, George Russell's stuff doesn't work. And I was like, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And the whole entire broadcast was like Lando chasing down George, and I was like, can we talk about how George is being a giga chad right now and absolutely not letting Lando Norris pass him?
Yeah.
And making it's because he T-poses on the camera. Someone said the conspiracy is because he's he's the president of the Drivers Association, whatever.
Yeah, but Carlos Sainz is too.
Yeah, and they talk about him all the time.
Yeah. They share.
I don't know what it is. Now that I've said it, I want people to notice how little they actually talk about George Russell, and like how like methodically Mercedes like they're just doing their thing.
Yeah.
And I think because it's just boring. That's my conspiracy theory. And I've noticed it for every single thing.
It's not an interesting storyline.
This is my very
Hey, look, this guy is doing well.
This is my very low stakes conspiracy theory. George forgot to bring donuts to the F1 production crew. There's just like something going on, which I find crazy. We're just not talking about it. I've mentioned it in all my my race review videos, and I was just like, he's been on the podium. Like, why are we not showing him during this race? Like even once that he's just,
I don't know.
He's good in the rain in Australia, but he was like so far behind P1 that it wasn't interesting and like not fighting for anything. He was just doing his thing. Toto sabotaged his car so he could hire Max. He needs drama. Yeah, well, he got the drama of the electrical stuff. And I think he's just doing it. So that was his best finish in Bahrain, his best finish of the year, and his 14th consecutive points finish, which is the best run of his career.
Wow, good for him.
Where are those stats on the broadcast?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say this. We need reparations for my man George Russell. Give him only screen time in Saudi Arabia, please.
Oh, Lord. We also had some disaster, just a horrible, terrible weekend for Red Bull Racing. Their pit stops were a mess because their little pit light wasn't working properly. So they were telling the driver to go, but the light wasn't saying go. So Verstappen and also Tsunoda both just sat there for a second because they didn't. I mean, naturally, you don't want to leave the pits before you're supposed to and then get a penalty. Lot of paddock rumors centered around this team this weekend. Some I can't talk about, some that I can. One such one being there was allegedly, Ted Kravitz said that there was a bust up between Helmut Marko, and Max's manager, Raymond Vermeulen. There actually was not. They were not like yelling at each other and fighting. I think there were some heated words exchanged, but I don't know that it was necessarily a back and forth at each other mad. I think it was commiserating.
So you said Ted Kravitz claimed that it was like because I saw this not from Ted Kravitz, like obviously the internet or those aggregate accounts on Twitter like ran with it.
Yeah, he on his notebook, Ted's notebook after the race, he said that there was like a bust up and something was going crazy there.
But it was
and so we had Thomas Mayer on the ground, and someone was like, Thomas, can you go see what's up here? Like, can you go ask? Is there fighting going on there? And he went in and was like, no, they were just mad at everything, together. Sometimes it's like me and Chris sometimes in the garage after work, we're both yelling at each other. We're not yelling at each other, we're just yelling at the situation.
100%. We're just like I don't know how to explain it. I understand like not everyone understands that, especially I guess online tone is hard to hear, but sometimes we're just chatting, and it doesn't mean like we're still friends. Like we're still doing we have a little back and forth, but we're still homies. Sometimes people just need to yell. And I feel safe.
Dude, after that fucking race, I'd want to yell. And I'm gonna be honest, there's no one I'd rather yell with than Helmut Marko. I just know that man is stewing the same way I am about something.
Well, I can probably be without Helmut Marko, but I understand what you're saying, that he's stewing about like, oh, these idiots.
No. When it comes to something like the pit stops, oh, absolutely. He's the first person I want to go yell about with. Like, I just know he's got something to say.
Yeah, so the pit stop issue, did we dive into that a little bit more? Oh, yeah, so the pit stop issue really quickly, when Max Verstappen first came in, as you mentioned, like the light wouldn't show, so he like stayed there for a couple extra seconds, which was not good, losing some time. And they thought it was, Christian Horner said finger trouble on the button that releases the driver, so they didn't change anything. But then it happened again with Yuki Tsunoda, and they're like, oh shit.
Oh, something's wrong.
Something's wrong, right. And he thinks it's a wiring loom issue in the gantry, which does make sense because the second stop for Max Verstappen, the right front wheel gun failed to engage the first time. So yeah, there's some kind of issue. He said all the parts are in quote unquote quarantine, which means like they took them and like they're not going to use them. They bring them back to the factory, double check what's going on and stuff like that. He also claimed the pit stops were really good, and one of them was even 2 seconds. And I was like, well, no one fucking measured it, so you could say a lot of things actually. Yeah, he's like, we did a great job. It wasn't our pit stops, but the whole damn car is broken. Everyone, it's funny to hear them talk about it. Verstappen says the biggest problem we have is not only pace, it's tire management and balance. Horner then says it's a combination of brakes and poor balance. So then when you add tire deg, everything is worse. Then Yuki says he doesn't even understand even half of this car. There's a very narrow operating window. And I was like, oh, damn, throw the whole car away.
I don't want to like cut in, but also they asked Gabriel Bortoletto what the Sauber's operating window is, and he said none. There isn't one. Ugh. That's bad news bears, dude.
Audie's like, shit. I gotta fix this.
But the Red Bull's a disaster right now. Not great. Everything's going wrong. They've had a lot of talent leave, which I think is,
and not just Adrian Newey. I'd like to make that very clear.
Yes, that it is. Adrian Newey was one of them, but
there's a lot that left.
Jonathan Wheatley is gone, and he was kind of a big deal. So,
there are a lot of people who left, and they're with other teams now, but they've since left. I think the biggest thing is this is just, and we talked about this earlier. This is kind of showing me with all of those leavings. Were they good bosses? Like, if they're having this much issue, did they not teach their... You know what I'm saying? Like,
they didn't teach their, like, proteges?
Did Adrian Newey not teach Pierre whatever his last name is,
Wache.
Wache, that I can't pronounce, like what he was supposed to. Like, was he a bad boss? And like things is now the fact that everything's falling apart when these people, like key people, leave just shows to me that like we didn't do a good job of training personnel, of really like teaching anything, of like showcasing or like going like you were not sure
But
you.
also, if you know that you have that like secret touch, why would you pass it on to anyone else? You don't want to give a team
Fair.
your best and train them to be another you if you are concerned that at some point you will leave and go somewhere else. You want that somewhere else to then have your special touch. So, like, I get that it's not being a team player, but I don't know.
There's like no loyalty at this point. Job security is a big one, yeah.
Yeah, you if you have
Oh yeah.
something, you want to have that something. You don't want to fucking tell anyone about that. If I've got a secret, I'm not gonna tell someone that I think is gonna take that secret and use it against me. Come on.
Stuart makes a good point. Rob Marshall, maybe was a true design guru as well. Left Red Bulls, now is in McLaren, who's going really, really fast. Yeah,
Yeah. Like it's wild.
a lot of key people that left. It's not just like here and there.
Yeah.
Rob
Yeah,
Marshall, I
it's
do know
not
what you
just
mean.
like random dude who assembled the tire assembly in the factory. Like it's the guys who like dreamed up the car and brought it into being. Like the concept, the very like something is wrong in the idea phase, and that's bad.
Chris on the YouTube says, as a Honda Max guy, I was livid at those pit stops. Red Bull better figure that car out. Yuki looked good, but I think they've quietly solved his issue. But let's see how they all do in Jeddah. According to the race, when they were talking to Christian Horner and whatnot, he said finding a solution is not easy because the team's wind tunnel is not offering the correlation or consistency they want for working on such a detailed area. So the best
Huh.
hope for Red Bull currently is that the track layouts and the tires that are scheduled suit the race package that they bring in the future.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Hmm.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Interesting.
Godspeed. Godspeed, Red Bull.
Goodness.
I don't it's just wild. It's like, oh, let's just hope the track suits whatever's about to happen here. It's just like what a wild assumption to be like, good luck. Welcome back to 2007, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Absolutely wild. He was I don't know. Racing Bulls also had issues this weekend, particularly Liam Lawson racked up penalties for contact with other drivers. He hit Stroll under the safety car and got a 5-second penalty. And then he hit Nico Hulkenberg under racing conditions and got a 10-second penalty. After the race, they were like, "What happened? Why didn't you do very well?" And he pinpointed the issue stemming from his qualifying session, where he lost DRS suddenly. DRS closed. So he lost half a second. That's a lot of time of just like drag because the little bit on the wing shut. He also said the only way to pass around here is to lunge. And so I was lunging from pretty far back, trying to get past people and was bumping them. I don't know what the fuck the safety car one was though. Like, girl,
Oh.
you're not lunging there. I'll hear your argument for Hulkenberg, but I'm not gonna hear it elsewhere.
Yeah, I feel like Lawson's also one of those things we have to talk about. If we're going to talk about Lando Norris, I equally want to talk about like Liam Lawson, about like what's going on. Like what is I feel like he was doing okay prior to this season. And then I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just like everything, right, just like fucked with him. It's just like he's now like overly trying to prove himself and overly trying to be racing and overly trying to do all this stuff, and it's just like not just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. You've shown that before.
Hmm.
Just woosah. You got this.
Yeah. I don't know, I think he's letting a lot of stuff get to his head, which I understand.
Yeah,
That's very difficult.
right.
If I was in his shoes, I think I would probably be doing a lot worse.
Mhm.
So props to him for showing up, like continuing to be there. I think there needs to be.
Alyssa's being too nice. No, this he knew this was gonna happen.
I mean, he knew it was going to
Fucking
happen. At
alive.
this point, there is a responsibility he needs to take for solving these issues off the track and starting with his own brain, um, and getting that sorted out. Because I do think this is another one of those situations of like, you got to get your head straight.
Yeah.
I can see how you would lose confidence in yourself because of what all has happened.
Yeah.
But you are also a Formula One driver and you need to get your shit together. And that means you need to do whatever it takes. That's not just being on the simulator, that's everything.
That one guy says for him, he's still got about 4 races left before he's on the shit list.
I think he's got a while because the Red Bull doesn't
Yeah.
have anyone left. They don't have Arvin Lindblad. Once they've got Arvin Lindblad ready to go, I do think that Liam is going to be out of the picture. But at the same time, I'm not expecting Yuki to remain with Red Bull beyond this year. So,
yeah,
we shall see. Speaking of drivers who did good though, Pierre Gasly finished in 7th.
no.
He called
Amazing.
He called Bahrain last year rock bottom for the team because they were like 20th, 19th and 20th. This is a good, impressive recovery. He was really complimentary of the team, said that they've done a really good job to make this kind of turn around. Not so impressed with Jack Doohan, who is still struggling, I think, to get up to speed. But this weekend, we learned at planetf1.com that he apparently has until summer break before the team reevaluates his performance and potentially replaces him. So he's got several more races to go. Yeah.
You say you're not impressed by doing this weekend?
I think overall, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he's impressed his team. Overall, I think he's still got a lot of work to do. I think this weekend he was fine.
This weekend he was fine.
But
He
he
spent a lot of
wasn't.
time on the points. Then they put him on hard
Yeah.
tires, and everyone was
Yeah.
bitching. But I think he was doing okay this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he was fine. I don't think he just hasn't he's in this position of like he needs to do something really spectacular, if that makes sense. He's just been so far. We had, you know, crashes in Australia and kicking off the year on the back foot.
Yeah.
He's got 4 reserve drivers breathing down his neck. I think I don't know. It sucks because he does seem like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But as Chap says, being on par isn't enough to save you.
Well, it saved him to the summer because apparently the team
Yes.
said he has shown the potential
But-
he's shown around setbacks. He works well with the team and his dynamic he has with Pierre Gasly. What a personality hire.
But also, there are what I have heard potential concerns about the folks coming to replace him. So I don't know necessarily that they're super stoked about the guys in reserve. So we'll see how that goes.
He survived until more money displaces him, and sometimes that's all you need to do. I like that Alpine did though is giving Pierre Gasly the car that he needs.
Yes.
It's working out for him.
Yes.
He did. He said there was always signs in the car for this year, but they just like had issues with like Rain made it to Q3 in Australia, and then the rain came, and he just like barely missed the points again. It's just like ugh, and like this is a nice progress up.
Yes, absolutely. It just something needs to happen, I think, big to like launch him further up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Up their standing of him. Yeah, I just don't think that they think that there's anyone capable of replacing him at this moment.
Yeah.
Or that there will be someone who is better than he is. So he has survived. He has not thrived. But perhaps with a little bit more time on his side, he'll be able to do that.
Oh, you have
Franco,
4 drivers without points this year? Jack, Liam, Gabriel Bortoleto, and Fernando Alonso.
Yeah. 4 drivers without points. All rookies. All rookies.
Liam makes sense. I think I'm pretty proud of the rookies thus far, right? I think something I'm glad a lot of people are noticing, and I like to say that, yet again, I was right. I'm going to mention that every single pod, that Oliver Behrman, fucking crushing it, dude. He's crushing it.
He's so good.
Put him in a Ferrari. So, no, Oliver Behrman did an incredible job, gained 5 positions off the rip, even though he qualified last. And I like the way these rookies are talking on the media. Like, even Bortoleto, like, I know he said that there is no operating window, but, like, he's joking. And they don't seem jaded yet by, like, the industry, by Formula One, like, all these veterans. Every time they get interviewed, I'm like, ugh, God, you're such a crank eponymous.
I know. They haven't been PR trained within an inch of their life yet, so they still say things that are interesting and fun.
Yeah. They're just so
and they
positive.
also... exactly. And they talk at length. I think the thing is like we get all of the audio and stuff after a race, and you'll look at it and it's like Lewis Hamilton a minute, Lance Stroll 32 seconds,
What does
Fernando
he have to say?
Alonso 2 minutes, and then Kimi Antonelli fucking 8 minutes. Kids just sitting, chatting it up, talking, answering all their questions. Like I don't know, I think it's nice. I like it because it gives you a much deeper sense of how they feel that they are progressing. And I think that's very important because we can see what they're doing on track. But when you've got Kimmy and Snelly coming to media and saying, I just didn't really feel comfortable in the car, or something wasn't working for me until we got into qualifying, and the changes then made sense. He wasn't very pleased with his performance this weekend, but was very complimentary of himself in the sense that he felt comfortable battling with cars for the first time this season. He felt comfortable like qualifying. He felt more at home in the car itself. So he was like, I didn't get points, but I still feel like I came away from this weekend way better than I came into it. And I don't know. I just like hearing more about that.
That one guy says, my mind keeps going back to that interview with Laura Winters, what they had with all the rookies, and it felt like a teacher trying to control the class.
Yeah, I know. I think they're so funny. They're just little guys.
And I like that I think it's because all of them are there. Like, if it was just Ollie by himself, right? Or
Hmm.
Antonelli by himself, I'm sure they'd still be chatty, but it's nice that they all have each other. Just like they're all rookies.
Exactly.
They're all just going through this shared experience and
Hmm.
trying to learn. I like it. It's just like a breath of fresh air into like a stale, old man, bitter, all about money industry that these guys are like, this is why I race. I grew up with this. I love this. When
Hmm.
Ollie's dad came on the radio, you're like, oh my God, that is so sweet.
So cute.
They're like, this is why they do what they do and why we want to do what they do and why they want to win and all this other stuff and why we watch. I was like, this is like a nice breath of fresh air for me.
Yeah. It makes them feel human in a way that when drivers have been around for a long time, they continue to like compartmentalize away those parts of their personality that make them very interesting.
Yeah.
Last up, last talking point here, Ferrari. Ferrari showed up at Bahrain with a new floor update on the SF25, and both of the drivers were at odds about this all weekend. We started the weekend with Hamilton saying, I do think that this floor is a definite step forward. And then after qualifying, was so down that he was answering questions with like one syllable, uh, and was not happy and was saying he didn't do good. Start of the weekend, Charles Leclerc was saying, I don't think this floor is worth a damn. Not exactly. He did not exactly say those words. That's just me paraphrasing. Um, he was like, I don't think it's gonna do what we need it to do. We're still so far off. And then he proceeded to do very well in qualifying in the race. So
Classic misdirection.
yeah. Now it ain't going well over there.
It's
It's not
I
good.
mean, it's a sign of improvement, but it's so small and
Yeah.
minuscule. Like, this would be okay for a Sauber, but this is not okay for Ferrari. Like, we need to get, like, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
I think someone asked Charles after the race. They were like, "Is this a step forward?" And he was like, "Eh." And they were like, "Is it a baby step?" And he was like, "Yeah, but we have a lot of baby steps left to go."
Yeah, it was a fine race for them, but I think there's so much more. I know Charles Leclerc also said they're extracting the maximum out of the balance. It's a lot of like
Hmm.
downforce and grip issues that they're having, and it's
Hmm.
like, ugh, you definitely need those things when
Yeah,
you're
those
racing.
are like kind of important. Like they're kind of the whole point of
Yeah,
race
well,
car.
this is on Red Bull where it's like the whole car's broken. Just fucking fix
Yeah.
it. Throw away the whole
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, I think they are Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton are doing what they can with the car that they have, and that's the max currently. That the positions they were in, they finished
Hmm.
is what we're gonna get if they don't improve
Yeah.
anything. That's all.
Yeah. We'll see what happens next. I'm excited for Saudi Arabia. I'm also excited for like not to be negative, but I'm excited for it to be over because this fucking triple header is brutal.
Dude, it's fucking killing
Uh,
me.
and I'm ready for a weekend off.
You wrote Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris for your prediction for this past race weekend. So the McLarens were split. It was
Okay.
Oscar Lando, but it was George Russell in P2. I had George
Nice.
P4 and Oscar Lando, etc. But yeah,
Not bad. Not bad.
not bad. I did have Charles Leclerc where he needed to be. Oh, the broadcast, can we just colloquially, this is, I'm going to be known for bitching about the broadcast on every single fucking race. This is going to be the whole rest of the stream because we still have to talk about NASCAR and IMSA. And I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it, okay? I missed Max passing Pierre Gasly. I missed Oscar passing, getting the checkered flag. They didn't give me a picture-in-picture. They, didn't give me anything with Oscar. They gave me nothing with Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly. When Ferraris were doing, the double overtakes and the restart, they, didn't know which Ferrari, what was going on. They didn't know which Ferrari to follow or, which camera to show both of them on. I missed a whole bunch of stuff. Again, they were showing me George Russell sometimes, but they were talking about Carlos Sainz, and I was like, why are we doing that? Why are we talking about drivers that I'm not looking at?
Were you watching Sky Sports?
F1 TV.
Yeah.
There was just, I was like, what are we doing?
It was a messy weekend.
So you mentioned the live timing, right? Was the George Russell thing? They were trying to blow in the cartridge and reset the whole router situation. But the rest of it, missing we were missing pit stops. I was just like, what are we doing? And there was a really good article from, gosh, who was it? If I said there's two orange stripes on their branding, does that help you at all? God, it's whatever.
The drive?
Oh, maybe. I think it was the drive. But does this show the problem that they're going to have for the rights package? Because if you don't have your live timing, what do you have?
Yeah.
You just have a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
Is it worth $180 million if shit doesn't work? If I'm not seeing the clips that I need to get to talk about the talking points, what are we...
Who wrote that on the drive?
What are we doing? I thought that was a great article. I'm like, that's actually a really good point. Is that why Netflix doesn't care? Because they realize they don't have what they need? Because you can't just show a score or have your announcers talk about the score. I can't go through every single driver, talk about what time it is and what's going on.
Yes. Okay. That article, I'm going to link it.
Yes, please.
From Olivia Hicks. Not to talk myself up. I recommended her for this job at the drive. And she's been killing it so far. And
Yes.
I am very stoked to see it. Because I used to do the F1 stuff for them. And I was like, that's just too much for you, girl. Olivia is a freaking boss. So she's been killing it.
That is an absolute great article. And I was like, she makes a beautiful point. That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Elizabeth, for mentioning that it was Olivia and the drive. I really got to start saving shit that I read and being want to bring up. I'm terrible. So yeah, that was a great point. I was like, what do you have then?
Mm-hmm.
If you, especially with racing, it's just so hard. It's not like a stick and ball sport or even golf where you can just yap your way through it. So
Exactly.
yeah. Thank you, Olivia.
Yeah. That was F1.
Chris on YouTube says, we don't need to talk IMSA. My Acuras were terrible at the race. Acura sponsors, and somebody threw a 500-pound ballast on those Penske Porsches, please. Chris does not want to talk about IMSA.
Mm-mm.
Luckily, we'll talk about NASCAR first.
Yeah.
So you can
Let's dig into NASCAR. We were at Bristol. Bristol was a Bristol. We had beautiful tributes to Al Pierce, Shiggy Hattori, and John Edwards throughout the weekend, which was really nice. Kyle Larson was trying to win all 3 races this weekend, only managed to do 2. So he dominated Xfinity and Cup. Yeah. He led 687 of 1,050 laps raced this weekend. That is 65%. He missed the sweep of the weekend by 1 position in a single race, which was then won by Chandler Smith in trucks.
So what do we think about this race? Because I'm sure it's every race weekend we have some kind of commentary about how this car sucks. And there was some back and forth specifically at Bristol because I think a lot of nostalgia merchants were like, oh, Bristol used to be so good. What happened? And it's just like, what's the reason? What happened? Was it actually bad? What's going on?
I think the funny thing is that had it on and Chris was like, this was like an old Bristol race. And so there's all these people who were saying, I wish it was like the old days. And Chris was saying that it kind of was. There was a lot of hope, I think, that there would be tire drama. it was cold this weekend, and so there was this hope that they would have this a same situation as they did last year in the spring, where it was so cold that they had to release extra sets of tires to the team so that they could come in for pit stops, and then that didn't happen because I think if you actually looked at the weather, it was significantly different. It was freezing overnight last year, which was the reason why it was so damn cold because the concrete was keeping all of that cold into it. It did not get anywhere near that cold at night. This weekend, I don't know. That one guy says you used to bully people in Bristol without having too much damage to your shit, and people would have a lower chance in being hurt. I don't know. What did you think of the race?
I watched it on 2x speed, stage 1 and stage 2. When I was done doing my stuff, when I watched NASCAR to myself, I watched most of the first two stages unless something crazy happens on 2x speed just to get through it. Yeah, it just seemed
Yeah.
like it wasn't a banger of a race. But like, here's the thing: I'm so new. Like, I don't know what the past of Bristol. Like, I guess I could go watch all the old Bristol races. I'm like, the thing is, I'm used to this kind of thing where wasn't a banger of a race. But it was
Hmm.
like they had the strategies, they had their stuff. You had some back and forth, but then Kyle Larson was doing its thing. The Ryan Blaney faltered, unfortunately, and it was just like it was a race. They like to me like they raced,
Yeah.
right? And I started watching
Not
NASCAR.
everything can be, there's 30 something of these every year. Not every single one of them can be a banger.
For everyone else, I started taking everything seriously in like 2022 and like 23, 24. So those what I'm like most familiar with, and like that's it, like it just is what it is. And this like wasn't a terrible race, but it just was a race, right? Like this was like an
Yeah.
average race to me.
Hmm. Of note, Ty Gibbs was one of the bigger like winners of this weekend, where he jumped 6 positions to P20 in the standings. So he's closer to the cutoff of for the playoffs. For those who are keeping tabs on who we might end up having in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but I like how it says has it stopped the bleeding? And I was like, I don't think one race stops the bleeding. I think you're still
No.
bleeding. Like you made the
And
tourniquet a little bit tighter, but the bleeding is still occurring.
there's a band-aid on it, I think. Something has happened.
Yeah, there's a band-aid on a gunshot wound. We're on 2 races that have stopped it. I wouldn't say these still's got so much to make up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weekend. I didn't really watch too in depth because I was still covering F1 at that point. Um, but there was nothing
You
that
gotta
like
watch
drew my
later on
attention.
2X. Yeah, you gotta watch later on 2X. There is some like personal like dramas from one Chandler Smith, I believe. Right, his divorce
Yes.
proceedings that were
Yes.
public records have been made public about some not so great accusations and allegedness. Also, Brian Vickers tweeted for like the first time in a
Yeah,
couple
Brian
years.
Vickers showed up after out of fucking nowhere.
And if you don't know who that is, I
Yeah.
learned this
Okay.
yesterday thanks to
Oh,
Chap.
you learned this yesterday.
I was
Okay, so
like, "What's the big deal?" And I was like, "Oh."
Brian Vickers' wife was a sex scheduler for Jeffrey Epstein. Let me pull up the article I
he
have written about that.
so he stayed with her through the court proceedings and like
Yep.
all that stuff with the Jeffrey Epstein case and all like and he recently announced, I think this was yesterday, right, or 2 days ago on Sunday, whatever, he
Hmm.
announced that they're getting divorced and he's making his way back into the business.
Yeah. Here's my Jalopnik article on that. I covered this
Oh yeah, let me
before.
post it on the
Um,
YouTube.
very, yeah. So apparently, Brian Vickers' wife kept a long list of names that identified Epstein's masseuses and would call on them to provide their services to Epstein. They said that Ghislaine Maxwell and Vickers' wife taught other women how to pleasure Epstein. Um, she also said that she's been made out to be a monster, and that was not true because she was also a victim who was raped and abused. She started working for him when she was 18 and did so for a decade. And yeah, whole icky situation going on there. So we've just got a lot of
And I believe Brian claims that he didn't know or like wasn't
um
aware, or, like wasn't involved in any way. And I was like, my significant other knows everything about me.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So it was like I think they met after she had done most of her work work
Hmm.
with him. Yeah, not ideal.
Yes.
It's a
So very interesting coming out from the world of NASCAR.
Yeah.
I was
He
like,
just popped up out of nowhere.
someone, someone on Twitter wrote, "Get him on the Dale Jr. download."
Fuck. Actually,
He
honestly,
probably will be making an appearance, honestly, on Dirty Mo Media.
yeah.
She's like, "Oh,
I
welcome back. Let's not talk about the very big elephant in the room."
No, let's talk about the elephant. That's the only reason I want to watch. Address it directly.
We also had IMSA and INDYCAR at Long Beach. So,
Mm-hmm.
Chris, this is your Chris in the YouTube channel. Just plug your ears for this one for the. Just kidding. Oh, I didn't know it was the 50th anniversary. I mean, I did know when I was till I was watching. They mentioned it.
Yeah.
When I was watching, they mentioned it was the 50th anniversary week, and I was like, oh, I wish they did. Did they do more on site?
I don't think that they really did. I'm not sure. I wasn't on site, so I don't know. But I had a lot of stuff scheduled that I just didn't end up getting to because the Formula One season has been so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 1975, Long Beach came into existence. It was a Formula 5000 race. The goal of that being at that point in time, Formula One needed some other Formula series to host an event at a prospective racetrack before it could sign it onto the calendar. So, race organizer Chris Pook said, I want Monaco in California, and chose Long Beach, which was a depressed port city. uh, Turned out to be one of the longer standing races in the United States for Formula One. And then when it got too costly to continue hosting that event, it moved over to IndyCar. So, same thing with Detroit as well. Same situation. But we had Kyle Kirkwood win.
Yeah, there was Kyle
He
Kirkwood glaze on the broadcast. That was nice.
He straight up beat Alex Palou, which was great. He led 46 laps on his way to victory and covered off attacks from Alex Palou and various others throughout the entire race, which was extremely it was well driven. It was a competent race. I also want to point out first win for Dan Tauris since Michael Andretti stepped down from Andretti Global.
Nice.
So Big Dan was out there celebrating. Apparently he was all over the world this weekend. He was at the truck race for NASCAR, and then he went to Formula E in Miami, and then he went to some various other sporting events before he finally ended up down there in Long Beach.
You mentioned the Dan Towers owns what's the IWG?
TWG.
TWG. They had like a big racing weekend. Like I think they said it was like coast to coast, right? Because they had Formula
Yeah.
E,
Hmm.
NASCAR, the Spire
Hmm.
Motorsports, and all that stuff. They obviously had Long Beach, etc. So he was busy checking in on
Yeah.
everyone throughout the weekend. I'm sure he's a little exhausted, but yeah, big weekend for TWG and Dan
Yeah.
Towers.
It was pretty cool.
Stonks are up.
Yeah. Joseph Newgarden suffered from loose belts. So,
His strategy was so interesting, and I thought it paid off for him till the loose seatbelts. I
yeah.
was like, that sucks.
Yeah, it was compelling. It was a bad weekend for Penske and IndyCar, at least for Sir Newgarden. Will Power actually had a similar incident to this, which cost him his shot at the title in the finale race last year in 2024 in Nashville. So this feels like a really weird oversight for a team like Penske to be having, but who knows? He finished 27th and is 10th in the points right now, tied with Alexander Rossi, both of whom are 84 points back from Alex Palou, which is bad news bears for those fellas.
Yeah, Colton still can't catch a break. For any
Yeah.
Colton Herta fans, it's keeping track of him getting his super license.
Sorry, Colton girlies. He hit the wall in qualifying. Then he ran into Jacob Abel in
Yeah.
morning warm-up
I remember waking
for
up to
the
that tweet and I
race.
was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Um, Off strategy, inconsistent. He finished sixth, so okay. Uh, he's 69 points adrift
Nice.
of Alex Palou's title lead, sixth in points. So
He needs
not
fourth or
exactly.
higher, right? For his
He needs fourth or higher to get points for a super license. 10th or higher, he can cover the deficit of points with free practice one sessions. In
Okay.
Formula One but I just don't see, I don't know what team would bring him on, and I think that's the biggest issue he's facing here.
Yeah. Sorry, Colton Herta fans. It's just one blech.
Good news for all my Stingray Rob investors. Stingray stocks are up. He led 12 laps on an alternate strategy and finished ninth. Are you familiar with the Stingray Rob stock?
No, I'm just not. I think we're trying to make something that I don't think we should be.
But I do think this is funny. Alex Rossi's dad set up an investment thing for Stingray Rob. So you could buy shares of Stingray Rob, which was used to fund his racing career. These shares were like, I don't know, $100 to like thousands. And you could get a hat at the $100 level, and you could get a like VIP weekend at the multi-$1,000 level. The only reason I keep holding on to this man is because that is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard of. That's so literally weird. You could invest in Stingray Rob. I think one of the rewards for spending like $5,000 on Stingray Rob stocks was a Prey.com subscription for a year. It was like ridiculous. But yeah, Alexander Rossi's dad setting that up for him. I don't know if it's still a thing.
Sounds like an NFT.
Oh, invest StingrayRob.com. Chap just posted it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. He's still doing it. IndyCar is poised to implement a charter franchise model that would make owning an IndyCar race team an exclusive valuable asset. Now is the time to invest in the future of IndyCar. You can invest in Stingray Rob.
I don't like any of this.
I don't either. I just find it incredibly funny. 2023 most watched IndyCar season. This is their media pitch. 2023 most watched IndyCar season in 12 years. What happened next? Hell's bells.
I just like don't. Yeah.
Minimum investment $200. Price per share $1. Stock Class B common stock. I don't know what any of these things mean. For my stock folks, but it exists. You can invest in Stingray Rob.
Like, selling this is so interesting. It says reasons to invest, and the top 3 are Stingray, the driver, merchandising and branding, full IndyCar team. And like, this is not a reason to. These are not reasons to invest. These are reasons to not invest. These risks are not like. Being a motorsport driver and pitching ourselves to brands, it must be one of the most difficult things of the job, bar driving the car.
Yeah.
None of that that's a terrible reason to invest. You don't know me. Yeah. You don't know my skill set. Everything could depend on other things, the variability of motorsports. I'll also get a hat if I give you $1,000. Get the fuck out of here.
I also think it's so funny that like stats, media things, and then we've got the faith section followed by a Bible quote, John 3:30. He must increase, I must decrease. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
That's not a good quote for a driver. I don't want my driver to decrease if I'm investing $100,000 in him.
I don't want to decrease. I don't want to give him money so I can have less money.
Dude, insane. Have Bible verses all you want, but that is a terrible one. Decrease?
Yeah. If we got any Bible scholars in here or anyone who went to church, I never did.
I clicked the FAU the tab and it says page not found. Is that the joke?
That's funny. What do we got? Why invest? Page not found.
What is the current valuation of the company? $10 million. They have FAQs in the bottom of the page of their homepage.
They just don't have anything good. Download the investor deck. I might download the investor deck. Yeah, Stingray Rabbit, Peter Rossi, Johnny Baker. I'm not sure who that is, and Larry Robb.
So interesting, but yeah, had a fine race. Let's see how that goes. It's just like this is like a one-off. I'm not like ready to talk about Stingray Robb and its seriousness.
Stockray Robb.
Stock Ray Rob, that's what we're calling him. I do like your Christian Lundgaard note because that also worked out for him. 26 laps on the alternate strategy. P3 in the race, P3 in the points, that worked out for him. Jay New was trying to get there too, and it like just didn't work out for him. And I feel so bad.
It was a mess. I think Christian Lundgaard, perhaps the best McLaren of the year.
Ooh.
Very. This team has been built around Pato O'Ward, and yet, I don't know. They dropped a crazy stat during the broadcast that Pato is the only one who has won with that team since James Hinchcliffe won at Long Beach in 2017.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. They've had so many good drivers.
And just like haven't been able to. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Sheesh.
Sheesh. Yeah, IndyCar, I actually have very little qualms about the broadcast. I guess I maybe blocked them out this time. I think it was less
it was
chaotic.
Less obnoxious.
Yeah, it was less chaotic, to be honest with everyone. I was like really like there was less talking over each other and like the chumminess I've been complaining about. It was fine.
They had push to pass graphics this time, which was good, and that ended up becoming a factor at the end of the race.
I do hate the top 5 take up so much room with their heads and what they're trying to do. But like I also get it. They're trying to get people to know who these people, like the drivers are, so you got to show the faces. And
I wish they would. I wish it was a car graphic instead of the driver's face, because the cars change almost every weekend. It would be nice to be able to actually see it, so that you could like, oh hey, this car that looks like this is here, and I could see it on the track and make the connection, because the driver face doesn't do much for me. But I liked the driver eye camera. I don't know if that was new, but I was just really stoked on it.
Yeah, I have very little complaints about IndyCar actually. Yeah. I thought this one was going to send me over the edge. You can ask Elizabeth, because we'll talk about IMSA next, and that one sent me onto a spiral.
Yeah, IMSA. Porsche dominated.
Classic.
Another 1-2 Penske GTP finish with AO Racing GTD class victory. Car number 7 took its 3rd straight win of the season. Crazy.
For AO Racing, this isn't because they didn't have GTD Pro and GTD. AO Racing is in GTD Pro, so even though they won this race, I don't think it counts for that. Like it doesn't, right? Because they're GTD. They're not combining all the GT classes. I think this is supposed to be just for GTD, not GTD Pro.
I have no idea.
Does it take points away from people, right? Something like that? Or maybe they get the points and other people don't get the points? Something weird. Someone will correct me in the thing. Oh, yeah. See, it doesn't. Okay, thank you, Pericles. Yes. Okay, thank you. Pericles trying to type as fast as I'm talking to correct me. But he's like, no, it doesn't.
You're wrong! You're wrong!
No, I'm right. So it takes points away from people. Okay. Got it.
That's so funny.
Which kind of sucks, because you're like, why would you do, like, why would IMSA score it like that?
Stunting on them hoes.
I just, like, don't understand. Why would you do that? But yeah, Aero Racing crushed it. The frustrating thing for me in the broadcast was that they only showed the GTPs. Like, I get it. Felipe Nasser was crushing it by, like, 6 seconds up front, and we were staring at him for 10 laps to the finish. Meanwhile, there's, like, a battle going on.
Yeah.
For GTDs. And I was like, no, I get it. You can show his finish. Do not get me wrong. But, like, can we do a picture-in-picture? Where did picture-in-picture technology go? I was born in 92.
I don't know if NBC can afford it. for IMSA?
And we had, Tommy Milner bullying everybody. The man was on a freaking mission. He was like this man gave 0 Fs. He's like, if I'm going down, you're going down with me with all my carbon fiber. Oh, and what else they missed is they had to go back because his rear, the rear of his car was completely fucked up from like bullying Turner Motorsports. I think it was Robbie Foley in the car. And they're like, oh, we're going to put speed tape on it and try to just like tape it back because he got the meatball flag. And while they were like taping it and fixing it, they showed an empty start-finish straight while talking about the pit stop. And I was like, why am I not looking at this car being fixed and like the dramaticness of this? And I'm looking at a completely empty track right now.
That's stupid.
I was like very meh about the race because there was like, I mean, Long Beach is hard to pass.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a GTP. Everyone's dive bombing on that hairpin and like really argy barging. It was just like, bleh.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I don't know. For me, it feels like such a loss of momentum after you have the Rolex and then Sebring.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, an hour and 40-minute race on a street circuit. That's the excellent follow-up to 36 hours of racing.
It's rough. Let's see what the rest of the schedule is. Rolex, Daytona, Sebring, Laguna Seca. That'd be good.
Okay.
We love Laguna Seca. 2 hours, 40 minutes.
Okay.
We like that.
That's at least something.
Francis says, I didn't even consider the points aspect of moving down to GTD. I don't think many teams will move up to GTD Pro for Detroit to balance it out either. Yeah, I just don't know why you let them race, but it's like Kyle Larson racing Xfinity. It doesn't count for his cup stuff. Why are we doing this? They just move down a couple classes. Just whatever. Make Long Beach a 4-hour race. No, thank you. Make Laguna longer. That'd be fun.
Make Laguna a 19-hour race.
The only even number is 6. We can do 6 hours. I like that Detroit is 100 minutes. Every other race is Acura is also 100 minutes. Never mind. Okay, good. I thought I was going to go on a rant here, but I did not. Yeah, it was just very meh. The Lexus team did do it to help their normal GTD car, but I think AO Racing had different reasons for racing. Sorry, I was showing that on their chat. I was trying to say that on IMSA.com on their schedule. It says 12 hours, 2 hours 40, 2 hour 40. But then it says 100 minutes as opposed to 140, that was my point. But I think 100 is a nice number than an hour 40.
It makes it feel more substantial.
Yeah. I suppose an hour 40. What are we doing? Can't just make it 2 hours? What are we doing here? Yeah, so Acura Grand Prix, Long Beach, and next is Monterey / Laguna Seca. Monterey Sports Car, Laguna Seca. So that'd be nice. They don't have to haul their shit crazy places. Then Detroit, Watkins Glen, et cetera, et cetera. I was thinking about going to Petit Le Mans this year. It's just so close, right? I think Atlanta's 4 hours away from Charlotte. I might be wrong, so it won't be too bad. I do have Adam Stern's motorsports viewership in the United States last weekend. I don't know if everyone wants to take a moment to guess. We talk about NASCAR Cup, F1, IMSA, NHRA, trucks, Xfinity, and INDYCAR. If you want to guess where they all kind of just in your head, pick a series or whatever series and guess how many people they got viewership wise.
Total?
Yes. 48 hours of Sebring.
600,000.
Chap, why would you link it? I'm making people guess.
And saying don't cheat. What the fuck?
You son of a gun. Okay, fine. Because Chap had to put it in the chat. NASCAR Cup on FS1 got 2.054 million. So the most.
Huh.
Up next, Formula 1 on ESPN2 at a 1.277 million.
Okay.
Someone did say in the comment section, first F1 race at a reasonable time for people in the United States, but he wrote also doesn't include the mass of people watching on the F1 TV app. And don't get me wrong, I understand a lot of people use F1 TV in the United States. I don't think it's as many as you think it is. It would still not beat out NASCAR for the most viewed motorsport. I'm maybe thinking 300,000 people at max. 500,000 would be really pushing it a stretch. And you would have to argue with me about it. It's really not that many people have F1 TV in the United States. I don't know how to break it to you. And I understand we're not counting them, but it still wouldn't break NASCAR things. NASCAR Xfinity on the CW, 1.001 million. INDYCAR on Fox, 552,000. Which according to someone said it's the least viewed race from since 2013, which I don't know if I believe that or not. So put that with an asterisk.
Yeesh.
The NASCAR trucks had 498,000, NHRA had 418,000, and IMSA only had 81,000, which is wild.
Schnikes.
And some of you might be like, "Oh, we watched on VPN." I was like, "Yeah, yet again, I don't think that many people watched IMSA on VPN to count. Maybe another 20,000. Yeah. I'll give you to be nice, 20,000 people watching on VPN in the United States to give you 100,000, but that's still not enough."
Yeah, that's not good. That's bad news bears.
Yeah, I also have F1 TV. I still don't think the amount of F1 viewers, there's not 1 million F1 TV users in the United States to make up for the deficit between F1 and NASCAR. No way.
No. And they also had it.
They would brag about it.
ESPN2. I don't know if that's included in most packages, most television packages.
It's a Hulu package, for sure.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that's.
I know I used to not get it on a previous TV package I had, but we also had the Masters on this weekend, so. Yes.
Yeah. So we had in the United States, we had the Masters on, which is pretty crazy, popular, believe it or not. Actually, what is the Masters viewership?
a billion.
No, there was a racing on Sunday afternoon. I think all races ended like 30 minutes before. Like I think I stopped my IndyCar stream when Rory McIlroy was just about to miss his par to win before he went to the playoffs. Like I made it with 5 seconds to spare to watch him do that. Ending my stream.
I was gonna say I watched my first ever 10 minutes of golf because it was on right after the race car was on.
Rory's win averaging 12.7 million for the Masters. The peak viewership between 7 and 7:15 was 19.5. So yeah, after the racing, you saw him win. But anything before that was a little bit more. Ryan says, end goal is to get more money from TV broadcasters. People VPNing to other countries doesn't help him. Oh, I thought you were about to shit on me for VPNing. Yeah, I'm going to tell people if they want to watch racing to do it by any means necessary. Because this is insane. Yeah. Like, this is such an issue. Like, I'm not watching ads in the middle of my racing. The whole race is an ad. Your car is an ad. How are we not selling more
my God.
Like, what are we doing?
So we went out to the garage after I got done with work and turned on the garage TV. And we had to watch 9 ads. 9 ads before the IndyCar on Fox like stream could start. And then all of these English ads bled into the fucking Spanish language broadcast. I was like, I just sat through 9 ads to get to a language I don't understand. But all of the language was in, the ads were in English. I don't get it. I just don't understand.
Do like banners at the bottom, like do anything besides going to a full screen of ads because it's fucking killing me. Because in the United States, we talked about this with the Masters stuff, right? They do 4 minutes of ads when it's usually 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not watching 20 minutes of ads per hour of racing, which is why like NASCAR, I'm like 2xing it because like I can't. I don't want to watch this shit.
It's too much.
At least with other sports, it's like built in, right? So I'm okay with missing the stuff and like blah, blah, blah. And it's easy to follow when we come back from commercial break. I can see who is on first base. They got a graphic for that. I know it's Aaron Judge. Someone hit a homer. Like that's so easy to follow when you come back from commercials, if anything were to happen. But God forbid I come back from a commercial break while watching racing and a crash has happened. I don't know who. What strategy did we just do? What's going on here? I just can't. I literally cannot. And some of them is also a just issue of, how do I say that, accessibility. I know a lot of people sometimes watch our NASCAR watch-alongs or IndyCar watch-alongs, and they're not from the United States, so I can't just tell them to turn on the TV or like go on Hulu or go on YouTube TV. So like if you want to watch with me, I'm not going to stop you. And I'd rather you watch with me and answer questions. That's what builds a community.
Mm-hmm.
So like fix whatever and I think that's what ESPN is saying is that they can't do that. I guess if the Mother's Polish can buy out the hour, but it wasn't worth it for them either. Like the return just isn't there.
No.
Again, it's just B2B at the racetrack. It's unfortunate. But yeah, those are your viewerships. I do want to know what the WNBA draft viewership was, but we probably won't get that till tomorrow. Yeah, just to make it clear, if they ever do really well, like if F1 TV had so many if F1 had so many F1 TV viewers, they would beat out American motorsports. They would brag about it. If a sport, let alone a motorsport, is not bragging about something, it's because they haven't broken the record or haven't done anything crazy.
They'll let you know when they want you to know.
They'll let you know. Absolutely. The league should just eat the value in the TV contract and offer an free ad-free option online like CLGP does on CBS and YouTube. Yeah, I wonder if you just do... It's hard. I don't know the answer. This is like a long, nuanced conversation with... I don't know how you would fix TV motorsports broadcasting, to be honest with you.
The problems are too big to fix.
Too big. I gotta simmer on that for a little bit, then we'll talk. Let me get back to you on this one. The Arlington Grand Prix will fix everything. Stop letting goofballs in the TV booths. Oh, I heard that the NASCAR booth was fine. Like because I was 2xing it. They were Alvin and the Chipmunking it in my ears. I heard they were like not the most excited in the entire race. The call for Larson winning was a little bit lackluster in my opinion, but everything before that was 2x. Was Alvin and the Chipmunks for me. So
you gotta do what you gotta do.
I couldn't hear if they were actually boring or bored and things like that. Mid-race safety car to run ads during it, LOL, says Michael. For the 100 biddies, done. We'll put 100 biddies to that idea. That is really funny. I heard that also NASCAR Xfinity did the CW, on the CW. Then NASCAR is looking for its Xfinity series, which I guess they won't call it. Oh no, there'll still be a title partner or something like that, but they're looking to expand also the broadcasting rights for the Xfinity series. The same thing they did with Cup this year, right? It's on Fox, NBC, TNT, and Prime. They want to do the same thing with Xfinity now. And I'm like, ugh, stop, please.
Yeah.
Open the schools.
Oof.
That'd be something else. Well, chat, with that, Elizabeth, anything coming out for you besides, in addition to your articles, excuse me? Put your
I
links
got a
in the
Deadly
chat.
Passions Terrible Joys episode that dropped today about Alberto Ascari, who was the whole premise of this episode is his superstitions that dictated his life based on he always felt that he was going to die in the same way that his dad did, and basically did. So interesting. Go listen. It was a lot of fun to work on.
We did talk about Catherine, by the way. We didn't forget
Yes.
about her.
We love Catherine.
I did put Elizabeth's links both in the Twitch and in the YouTube chat if you'd like to click on those and support her writing. And again, I ask people to please interact with things that you want to see more of and that you enjoy. Don't just engage with like the clickbait or the yelling and the. I mean, you can, but don't be surprised if you get more of that and you're like, oh, where's my stuff? Like, where are the things I like? Engage with the stuff you like.
Engage
Control
with it.
your algorithm.
A really great thing to do, especially for written articles, is to pull up the article and just leave it. Because one of the important metrics we watch for is how long you've had the article open. Go over there and scroll every so often. Because if you spend a lot of time with it, it says to our stats that you liked that content, you clicked on it and enjoyed it. So keep engage, like it shows you what
I didn't know
you
that.
absorbed it.
I'm gonna be honest with
So
articles. I read them really fast and then I exit out of them and then I move on. My
most
bad.
people do.
I
Keep
didn't.
Keep it open. Get that
That's
view
so
time.
frustrating. Because I'm a fast
Yeah.
reader, you get penalized. Like
Yes. Yes.
that's
Indeed.
insane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a pain in the ass. This Chris last week was like, you got to tell the people what they need to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. These are the tips and tricks I'm learning. So pull it open. Leave her sit. Give me a 48-hour view time.
Doesn't it help if they? Because I did on Jane's on WTF1 podcast, we encourage people, and we're trying to encourage people to like, DM us or like comment on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever. Like, please do that because like, one, we love to respond and we like want to hear from you and like,
Yes,
engage. Like, come into our community. Like, let's talk, let's discuss. I'm not going to be right about everything, but I'd love to talk about it with you and your perspective and blah 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 blah. Does it help if they do that with your articles, or can they, if they DM you about an article, do you then tell like your boss that someone talked to you about it? Like, what's the best way to engage?
I generally don't tell my boss if you can DM'd me, unless you are like very high profile. I'm sorry. If you comment on the article, always a good thing.
Okay.
If you engage with it in some way, share it on the internet, quote tweet it, post it, link it. We track all of the metrics as far as like view time, where the link got shared to. So if you're taking it and putting it on Reddit, if you like a planetf1.com link, put it on Reddit. We're not allowed to. You have to do it. We can't.
Wait, why can't
I
you?
don't know why. We're banned from doing it. I don't know why.
Is that a rule that we have on the F1 subreddit? Oh, wait, that's so. Is it? Yepe, you're not part of the thing anymore, but I am.
Yeah.
Let me look into that for you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I don't know why. I think we probably pissed someone off at some point in the past.
Let me write that down.
But yeah, if you like it, you have to go about sharing it. Respond.
I wonder if you guys did piss someone off. I'm gonna look at our mod mail.
Did.
It'd be so fucking funny.
Yeah. Jalopnik got banned a while ago. I work for a lot of websites that piss people off and get banned for various reasons. That's just how I go.
Noted. We'll do that. So yeah, share it around. When we share your articles in the Discord, does that show that it goes to a Discord? Like, how does that?
I think it gets grouped the way that we track our metrics under like other. So the link is ended up somewhere, but when people open it, it shows that it's come from somewhere, but we don't know exactly where. But we'll know if it's like Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, so we can keep track of like what's working for us, posting it where, who's sharing it, and then we get like little notifications if like the old guys on Facebook really love engaging with this one. We'll get like a little "this is big on Facebook" notification.
Okay, chap, look, being a Reddit moderator is one, no one cares, right? Like, it's not a big deal. Like, no one gives a shit. Some people let it get to their heads, but like, no one cares. No one's paying me. It's all a volunteer thing. If you guys did something that pissed people off 7 years ago or whatever, and like probably Planet F1 wasn't at the height of its like Elizabeth wasn't working, definitely clickbait, definitely like maybe like rumor mill to get the views. And I get it, we've all been there, but we didn't want that quality on the sub to the best of our ability, and like our users let us know and whatever it is. And this is why we have these conversations. It's like, oh yeah, we got to revisit that. Ralph Schumacher takes matter. Get out of here. Banned. Unmodded. Chap is banned. All right, chat. Make sure you support Elizabeth. Leave the articles open. That is what you do. Okay, sorry. I feel like we should make this into like an Instagram reel. Be like, how to support your content creators and the content that you like. Why don't we do that really quickly so I get like a quick edit feed? Elizabeth, what's the best way to support content you like and content creators and journalists as well in the motorsport space?
The best thing that you can do is click on an article and leave it open. Engagement time is one of the biggest factors that we track because it shows that you looked at that for a long time. You didn't just open it and click off of it. You looked at it, you thought about it, you chewed on it. Next, you got to leave comments. If you can like something, like it, share it, give it to people, post links to your friends, post them on Reddit. You got to do whatever you got to do. Like, we just want this to get out to the world in a way that like shows other people enjoy it.
I mean, I would then also argue, engage and comment on content you want to see more of and like. And like, of course, the rage bait is fun to argue and things like that, but we can all have discussions with content we like. Control your own algorithm and things that you want to see. If you like analysis and you want to see more stats, engage with that stuff. Comments, like it, share it. That's what helps you see more of it and help everyone do their job a little bit better.
And be specific about it if you can, because it helps us to know what you liked about an article, what you enjoyed about it, what specific things, so that we can do more of that. Because I don't know if you don't ever comment, and I don't know if you just say, good. Let me know what was good.
This reminds me of the thing that if I ever have a good experience at like a restaurant or like even like a coffee shop, like I'll email the manager, like find the email, and I'll just be like, hey, I had a really good experience, because I think people are more likely to comment negatively than they are to say nice things. And I think that's the way we've been trained. So let's let's start doing positive things to bring up positive news and engagement and analytics and stats and articles and videos that people want to see, and not just the rage clickbait stuff.
Amen.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
We got this.
That'd be a good video. I feel like that's like 4 points. People can talk about it. It's a whole rant. We'll go on it some other time. Shit, I had to start forming more critical thoughts. Sorry,
no,
guys.
You don't. No, you don't. No, don't worry about it. Just keep the article open and comment on it and say you liked everything about it and that Elizabeth is the best writer of all time. Thank you.
Easy. Actually, it's the best content creator I've ever seen in my entire life. I love her shaky cam.
Tell us that we deserve raises and brand deals. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your Tuesday afternoon time. This is the Elizabeth and Ash Show. Of course, we're going to par this down a lot, so you really get just the raw experience here on the Twitch and the YouTube stream. You can catch this podcast edited thanks to Chap in the chat /Chris/Sleeping Beauty in the Discord on Thursdays. So if you ever want to share the podcast with your friends or maybe post about it on your stories because you want people to engage with it more, podcast comes out on Thursdays and we'll post about it on our social medias. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and engaging and chatting. Elizabeth, thank you for your time. This is fun. I always like doing these. We were having a rough morning this morning, me and Elizabeth, and we're like, we need to stream. We're not going to skip it. I think it'd be fun just to like talk to each other, talk to you guys, and just like have a fun time with what we love to talk about. Yeah. So we appreciate you guys.
Gave me a pep in my step, so thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Remember, support local, including your local racetracks. Take your meds, touch some grass, drink some water.
Amen.
Birds are government drones. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, I'll stop. Bum, 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 ba-da-da-da.